Chapter 25. 9-Level Taoist Foundation, 9-Line Golden Core, and 9-Colored Nascent Soul. The three supreme foundation of the Great Path floated above the towering Heaven Palace, and a majestic Taoist rhyme poured out. Between heaven and earth, the spiritual qi boiled like oil in a raging fire, and mysterious Taoist sounds echoed in the sky. It was as if the entire world was rejoicing for the three supreme Taoist foundations. Whether it was the ordinary disciples, the Taoists, the Black Heaven sect elders, or the protector behind Guchanga, everyone was shocked by this. The three supreme Taoist foundations were formed in a short period of time. There were only a few examples of this even in the ancient books. Inside the Taoist palace, Lil Bing stood in Chu Kuangren's room, dumbfounded by the three supreme Taoist foundations. She then said helplessly, "I understand now. Master, you'll feel uncomfortable if you don't cause a commotion every day." Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren was sitting cross-legged on the bed in the room. A mysterious Taoist rhyme circulated around his body, making his body look crystal clear. His blood, meridians, bones, and organs were visible to the naked eye. Taoist runes were shuttling back and forth in his body. The vast power formed by the three supreme Taoist foundations was constantly transforming his limbs and bones, purifying his spiritual power. Gradually, Chu Kuangren's body began to glow with a golden light. His whole body was like a golden jade. If anyone was here, they would recognize that it was the top-notch Taoist physique, the golden jade body. Although the golden jade body was not as good as the supreme Taoist physique, it was not any weaker than Nangong Huang's Yinyang God Eye. Cultivators with this Taoist physique could cultivate the purest spiritual power, even if they were to cultivate the most common techniques, which was extremely practical. Chu Kuangren had already cultivated a sage technique, and now with the help of the golden jade body, the purity of his spiritual power had reached its peak. After a while, Chu Kuangren slowly opened his eyes. The transformations on his body also gradually disappeared, and he returned to normal. The effect of an entire bottle of heaven spiritual marrow is indeed extraordinary. Not only did it help me form the three supreme Taoist foundations, but it also gave me the golden jade body. Chu Kuangren said emotionally as he felt the surging power in his body. He was now a nascent soul cultivator. However, he felt that even if a paradise realm cultivator stood in front of him, he would still be able to kill them. It was a very strong feeling. No way? It couldn't be, right? Am I that awesome now? Chu Kuangren was a little unsure. Should I find someone to test it out on? Chu Kuangren murmured. He got up and walked out the door. As soon as he walked out, he saw Lil Bing. "Young master, you've finally come out," Lil Bing said excitedly. "All right, let's go. Follow me outside to meet the crowd." Chu Kuangren nodded slightly. He could already sense that a large crowd had gathered outside the Taoist palace. Outside the towering Heaven Palace, everyone watched as the phenomenon disappeared, but it took a long time for them to recover from their shock. After all, those were the three supreme foundations. How many people in the entire firmament star could actually form a supreme foundation? Not to mention, there were three types of supreme foundations in a row. It could be said that the commotion that Chu Kuangren caused this time was no less shocking to everyone than when he created his own sage ruler technique. Just when everyone was still in a daze, two figures came out of the Holy Ji Palace one after another. It was Chu Kuangren and Lil Bing. Chu Kuangren was dressed in a white, wide-sleeved robe with tassels hanging from his waist and a jade crown on his head. He looked like a deity as he appeared in front of everyone. "Look, elder senior brother is out. Eldest senior brother, kill me with your divine face. It's too beautiful. Elder senior brother, look at me. Oh my God. Is that outer sect disciple elder senior brother's maid? I'm so envious. I want to serve elder senior brother too. Who doesn't want to? If I can face such a deity every day, I'm willing to serve him tea." Voices kept coming out from the crowd. Lil Bing, who had never been the center of attention, was a little nervous, especially when some women kept looking at her with jealousy and envy. On the other hand, Chu Kuangren was calm and unruffled. Lil Bing could not help but admire him. The young master was indeed the young master. He was so calm in any situation. At this time, Chu Kuangren, who looked calm, was also surprised. He knew that there were many people outside, but he did not expect there to be so many. However, he quickly calmed down. He was the Black Heaven sect's elder senior brother. He had to be calm. Congratulations, elder senior brother. At this time, Nangong Huang stepped forward and said loudly, Congratulations, elder senior brother. Murong Xian and the other Taoists also expressed their congratulations. When the rest of the disciples saw this, how could they still be stunned when the Taoists had spoken? He immediately shouted out loud as well. Congratulations, elder senior brother. Congratulations, elder senior brother. Tens of thousands of disciples shouted, and the sound waves rushed into the sky with great momentum. Chu Kuangren's ears were almost deafened. He nodded slightly and did not say much. At this time, Lan Yu came to Chu Kuangren's side. The originally valiant martial goddess was now docile and called him young master. This scene broke the hearts of many men, but after looking at Chu Kuangren, they could not help but be convinced and could not bear any resentment. Only an immortal-like figure like eldest senior brother is worthy of Miss Lan. And only Miss Lan can stand with eldest senior brother. Yes, the others can't compare at all. Some of the women looked at Lan Yu enviously. When these two stood together, it was as if they were made in heaven. One was like a cold goddess, and the other was like a deity. Even the sun and moon dimmed in comparison. Everyone else was reduced to the background in front of these two. Lil Bing stood next to the two, and all the gazes on her had shifted away. She felt like she was there now, and she wanted to cry but had no tears, but she was not dissatisfied. After all, not everyone could stand next to these two. You fought. Chu Kuangren noticed that Lan Yu's aura was a little unstable. Obviously, she had just fought with someone, and it was not an ordinary opponent. Otherwise, Lan Yu would not have lost control of her fluctuating aura. Just now, the royal Azure Crown Prince slandered you, so I couldn't control myself and attacked. Lan Yu was a little uneasy, afraid that Chu Kuangren would be unhappy. Are you hurt? Chu Kuangren asked. Seeing that he did not blame her, but was instead worried about whether she was hurt, Lan Yu breathed a sigh of relief and felt a little happy. She shook her head. I just exchanged a few moves and used up some spiritual power. Well, that's good. Then, Chu Kuangren bowed in front of Honorable Xianqi and the others. Honorable Xianqi looked at the humble and polite Chu Kuangren, and the more he looked, the more satisfied he was. Kuangren, you have forged a supreme foundation today. Your future cultivation path will be smoother. I congratulate you. Thank you, honorable teacher. Not far away, Guchanga frowned. Ever since Chu Kuangren came out of his closed-door meditation, he had not looked at him, and this made him very unhappy. He then took a step forward and said loudly, The Royal Azure Crown Prince invites elder senior brother of the Black Heaven sect for a battle. Do you dare to accept? His voice was like a dragon's roar, shaking the heavens. Guchanga's aura exploded, and it was extremely domineering, wrapped in an invincible momentum, swept towards Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren also felt this hostility. He looked up at Guchanga, and there were mysterious runes flowing in the depths of his eyes. Divine ability, Eye of Revelation. Suddenly, Guchanga's information appeared one by one. Chapter 26. A series of information flashed in front of Chu Kuangren's eyes. Guchanga's identity information, cultivation methods, and even the means of concealment were all clearly seen by him, and he knew them all. Chu Kuangren could not help but sigh at the power of the Eye of Revelation. As the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated. A mystic art like the Eye of Revelation was simply too powerful. Without even seeing the fight, he could already see through the opponent's moves. It was simply terrifying. Elder senior brother of the Black Heaven sect, are you afraid of fighting? Guchanga saw Chu Kuangren's silence and thought that he was afraid of him. Thinking of this, his tone rose slightly with a hint of pride. Chu Kuangren was still looking at Guchanga's information, but after hearing his words, he retracted his divine ability and said lightly, Come on then. All right. Guchanga shouted, his eyes bursting with battle intent. Let me see what's so great about the supreme Taoist physique. After saying that, he circulated his spiritual power and took the lead with a punch. The rolling spiritual power turned into a huge dragon that flew out with its claws and fangs. The terrifying and domineering Taoist rhyme instantly shrouded Chu Kuangren. This was a sage technique specialized in attack, the Dragon Slaughter Fist. In Chu Kuangren's memory, sage techniques specialized in attack were extremely rare in the Azure Dragon domain. Some sage orthodoxies might not even have them. Facing the rushing dragon, Chu Kuangren took out the Descendant Self-Sword. With a slash, the incomparably pure spiritual power turned into a domineering purple sword ray, easily tearing the dragon apart. The terrifying sword ray did not lose its momentum, and went straight towards Gu Chang'e. What? Gu Chang'e was shocked and hurriedly punched again to block the sword ray, but he was still forced back a few steps by the sword. The eyes of many Black Heaven sect disciples lit up. In the previous battle, Gu Chang'e did not take a step back, whether it was against Nan Gonghuang or Lan Yu. But now he was forced back by Chu Kuangren's sword. Elder Senior Brother is really powerful. Haha, one sword to break a sage technique and force Gu Chang'e back. In my opinion, Elder Senior Brother is the real invincible one. What a domineering sword chi. Gu Chang'e's expression changed slightly. Your strength should be more than this. Your Dragon Slaughter Fist is already at the mastery stage. Don't tell me that this is the mastery sage technique? Chu Kuangren said indifferently. Hearing this, Gu Chang'e was slightly surprised and blurted out involuntarily. How did you know? It was extremely difficult to comprehend a sage technique to the realm of great accomplishment. Even geniuses would need to spend tens to hundreds of years. However, Gu Chang'e unexpectedly comprehended the dragon-killing fist to the advanced level in the process of constantly challenging the Taoists and forging the invincible heart. Moreover, he had never used it in front of anyone else. Only he and his protector knew about it, so how did Chu Kuangren find out about it? That's not important. What's important is that you should think about how to defeat me, even though the possibility of that is almost zero. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. Since the other party had come to provoke the Black Heaven sect, as the Black Heaven sect's eldest senior brother, he naturally would not give them any face. Based on the previous exchange and the information provided by the Eye of Revelation, he had a high chance of defeating his opponent. He had gained too much from this closed-door meditation. At this moment he was far better than his previous self, and it could even be said that he was not the same person as before. Arrogant. Do you really think that you can be so arrogant just because you have a supreme Taoist physique and a supreme foundation? Then do you have it? Chu Kuangren's words were a fatal blow. Gu Chang'e's face darkened, and he did not say anything else. Instead, the spiritual power in his body surged wildly. If you want to see the dragon-killing fist, then I'll fulfill your wish. Have a taste of it. With a roar, the spiritual power in Gu Chang'e's body rose to the extreme. A boundless and domineering Taoist rhyme poured out. An extremely ferocious, seemingly substantial golden dragon circled around Gu Chang'e's body, and dragon scales appeared on his right hand. He had also mobilized the power of the dragon vein, and gathered it on his strongest punch. The punch was accompanied by a loud boom, and the air exploded violently, causing the void to shake violently. The golden dragon roared, and the dragon's roar resounded throughout the world. With an incomparably domineering power, it charged towards Chu Kuangren. Many disciples could not help but feel the terrifying power contained in the golden dragon. I can't believe he still has such power. Even the Taoist could not help but exclaim. However, Chu Kuangren, who stood in front of them, looked extremely calm, and his body revealed an incomparably powerful sword-based Taoist rhyme. He suddenly slashed out with his sword. At that moment, the purest defensive sword intent swept in all directions like a tsunami, and the world was filled with a murderous aura. Wherever the sword light passed, everything was torn apart and shattered. It was as if that sword was the only thing left in the world. That sword had stunned all living beings. At the same time, it also destroyed the seemingly terrifying golden dragon. Not good. In the void, an old man exclaimed. A white spiritual power gushed out and hit the sword light. Humph. With a light snort, Honorable Xian Qi seemed to be prepared. He waved his sleeves and a purple sword qi gushed out. The white spiritual power was instantly shattered. After Chu Kuangren's sword light shattered the golden dragon, it shrouded Gu Changa's body. Only a scream was heard, and a miserable figure flew out and fell to the ground. It was Gu Changa. In the void, an old man in a white robe suddenly rushed out and came to Gu Changa's side. At this time, Gu Changa had an extra golden armor on his body, but his face was pale, and blood was constantly spitting out from his mouth. There was a fine residual sword chi in that blood. Seeing the golden armor, the old man in the white robe breathed a sigh of relief, and then looked at Chu Kuangren, who was holding a sword not far away, with a solemn expression. He was absolutely not mistaken just now. That sword, that Taoist rhyme, was definitely a sage ruler technique. There was a sage ruler technique in the Black Heaven sect. He had never heard of this before. Oh, your dragon scale armor came out just in time. Chu Kuangren smiled lightly. That armor was a rare defensive sage weapon that was nourished in Gu Changa's body. Gu Changa had called out this armor before he was hit by the sword light, but he was still a little too slow. Although he blocked most of the sword light, he was still affected and was seriously injured. What a terrifying sword. This is a sage technique? No, it could even be a sage ruler technique. What sword technique is this? Gu Changa stared at Chu Kuangren and said, Heaven-slaying sword drawing technique. I created it myself, Chu Kuangren said. Gu Changa sneered. Are you kidding me? Creating a sage ruler technique yourself? Do you think you're a sage ruler? The faces of the people around him were a little strange. Gu Changa did not believe it, but they knew that what Chu Kuangren said was true. This sage ruler technique was really created by him. Sai, this is the difference, Nangong Huang said emotionally. Yes, he has created a sage ruler technique himself, and he even told you that he created it himself, but you just don't believe it and even laugh at him. There's no comparison. Morong Xian also echoed. Gu Changa took a panoramic view of the faces of the others, and his heart suddenly skipped a beat. Was it really created by him? No, it was impossible. Even if he had a supreme Taoist physique, Chu Kuangren was still just a nascent soul realm cultivator. How could he create a sage ruler technique himself? Chapter 27. Gu Changa suppressed the shock in his heart and looked at Chu Kuangren coldly. No matter what, I must defeat you today. Along the way, he was only half a step away from forging the invincible heart. If he were to lose to Chu Kuangren now, everything would be for naught. He would not allow such a thing to happen. Crown Prince, this person's strength is profound, I'm afraid, the white-robed old man said hesitantly. He didn't finish his sentence, but his meaning was clear. Chu Kuangren possessed a supreme Taoist physique, mastered a sage ruler technique, and even forged the 3 great supreme foundation levels. His combat strength far exceeded his own realm. Gu Changa was seriously injured by the sword just now. If the fight went on, Gu Changa would definitely lose. Old man Ouyang, let the juniors settle their own matters. Why are you meddling in this? Honorable Xianqi's tone carried a hint of playfulness as he looked at the white-robed elder. The white-robed elder's surname was Ouyang, and he was the Royal Azure Dynasty's guardian. His cultivation level was already at the honorable realm. I am the Crown Prince's protector, so I naturally have to think for him, Elder Ouyang said lightly. But this is a battle between the young heaven's favorites. Even if you are the Tao protector, you have no right to interfere with the Royal Azure Crown Prince's thoughts. Honorable Xianqi then looked at Gu Changa. So, Crown Prince, are you going to fight or not? If you don't want to fight, just surrender. Chu Kuangren glanced at Honorable Xianqi. This cheap honorable master of his was trying to break Gu Changa's heart of invincibility. Fight. I have said that I will defeat him, Gu Changa said coldly and waved his hand to stop Elder Ouyang, who still wanted to dissuade him. Very good. Honorable Xianqi revealed a smile of success, and then secretly transmitted a message to Chu Kuangren. Kuangren, if Gu Changa's heart of invincibility is forged, it will be a huge obstacle on your path to becoming an emperor. Now that he is heavily injured, even if he has a saint artifact, defeating him will be as easy as flipping your hand. Later, use your full strength to defeat him. Break his invincible heart, and he will no longer be able to compete with you on the emperor's road. Chu Kuangren's heart skipped a beat. It turned out that Honorable Xianqi had provoked Gu Changa for his own sake. He wanted to get rid of the obstacles on his path to becoming an emperor. He nodded slightly without batting an eyelid, indicating that he understood. Gu Chang's aura was weak, but her eyes revealed an unprecedented fighting spirit. He said to Chu Kuangren, "I have a hunch that if I defeat you, my invincible heart will be fully mastered." Chu Kuangren did not say a word. Instead, he just stared at his opponent calmly. It was as if victory was within his grasp. Gu Chang'e sneered and said, "Do you think you can take this opportunity to defeat me just because you hurt me? Then you are gravely mistaken. I am the Crown Prince of Azure Sky. My methods are not something you can fathom. Let me show you my true capabilities." So much nonsense. Are you going to use the true dragon's blood essence or not? Chu Kuangren suddenly asked impatiently. Hearing this, Gu Chang'e's face stiffened. Then she said in horror, "How did you know that I have the essence of a real dragon?" The true dragon essence blood was bestowed by his imperial father, and it was his greatest life-saving trump card. Even his Tao protector didn't know about it. However, Chu Kuangren was able to point it out in a single sentence. Previously, Chu Kuangren had also revealed that he had mastered the Dragon Slaughter Fist in the same manner. This made him feel as if he had been seen through by Chu Kuangren. That feeling was so horrifying that it sent chills down his spine. Could it be that he can predict the future and has the ability to foresee the future? The ability to foresee the future was an extremely rare talent. For example, the divine predictor who predicted the reopening of the Emperor's path in this era was one such person. Moreover, he was known to be the most brilliant foreseer. Supreme Taoist physique, supreme foundation, and the ability to foresee the future. How many more tricks did this person have up his sleeves? Gu Chang'e gulped as fear crept into his heart. However, he suppressed it with his strong Taoist core and said with a determined gaze, "So what if he's a foreseer? Today, I will use your blood to forge an invincible heart. Help me ascend to the Supreme Emperor's throne." With a loud roar, Gu Chang'e's aura instantly exploded. He burned the drop of true dragon's blood essence in his body, and a surge of energy instantly erupted. A blood-red light shot into the sky, and lines of Taoist patterns appeared, vaguely interweaving into a supreme true dragon. The true dragon's roar shook the heavens and earth. Countless beasts and living beings within thousands of miles knelt on the ground, trembling as they kowtowed in the direction of the Black Heaven sect. This is the dragon's aura. True dragon's blood essence. This Gu Chang'e has a drop of true dragon's blood essence in his body. Judging from its aura, it's at least an honorable supreme true dragon's blood essence. D*M in it. This is going to be troublesome. Honorable Xianqi, Elder Rian, and the others' expressions changed slightly. They were ready to attack at any time to suppress Gu Chang'e. Chu Kuangren had a supreme Taoist physique, so he must not be harmed at all. A dragon's roar reverberated throughout the heavens and earth, shocking all living beings. At this time, Gu Chang'e had also changed. His heavily injured body instantly recovered, and his face was covered with fine dragon scale patterns. The dragon scale armor that he wore on his body also emitted a bright golden light. Gu Chang'e clenched his fist and a terrifying spiritual power exploded, setting off a violent shockwave in the air. He squinted his eyes slightly as he felt the surging power in his body, and his face was filled with joy. "I feel that I can fight a battle monarch now." The battle monarch was a realm above the paradise realm. The fact that Gu Chang'e had reached the stage where he could fight a battle monarch showed the power of the true dragon's blood essence. To be able to force me to use this last move, the Black Heaven sect's supreme Taoist physique is well deserved. However, there is only one emperor, and that is me. Come, let me give you a taste of defeat. Become a stepping stone for me to ascend to the emperor's throne. Gu Chang'e looked at Chu Kuangren, his black hair dancing in the wind, and his arrogance was revealed. Then spiritual power erupted from his body, Taoist rhymes circulated, and a surge of transformation surged, condensing into a golden dragon shadow behind him. Dragon Vein Physique Transformation. Dragon Scale Armor Activate. Dragon Slaughter Fist. Gu Chang'e burned his true dragon's blood essence, activated the transformation, and activated the power of the sage weapon. Then he performed the great accomplishment sage technique, Dragon Slaughter Fist, and attacked Chu Kuangren. The boundless and terrifying aura shook the void. The surging spiritual power madly slapped the air, forming circles of shockwaves that spread out, and a ferocious dragon-shaped fist chi soared into the sky. This punch caused the space to fluctuate violently. The boundless dragon poise spread out for thousands of miles, shaking the mountains and rivers. Everyone stared at this punch and Chu Kuangren, who was about to receive it. Honorable Xian Qi could not help but want to attack. However, at this moment, Chu Kuangren moved. Surges of mysterious sword-based Taoist rhymes soared into the sky and intertwined to form the Sword of the Heavens. Boundless sword chi gushed out, shrouding the area, and turned into a prison. It was the Nine Heaven Sword Prison. Then, Taoist rhymes circulated under Chu Kuangren's feet, intertwining to form a 36-tier sword chi green lotus, and waves of Taoist rhymes echoed in the sky. It was the Green Lotus Sword Song transformation. All three Taoist physique transformations were activated once again. Moreover, its power was even stronger than the last time he fought Nangong Huang. Then Chu Kuangren's body emitted a golden light, and his body became crystal clear like a golden jade. It was the golden jade body that automatically manifested after he pushed his spiritual power to the limit. Heaven-slaying sword-drawing technique. Chu Kuangren held the Descendant Self-Sword and swung it again. In an instant, a boundless offensive sword intent erupted, and the horrifying sword ray with horrifying Taoist rhymes collided with the dragon-shaped fist chi. With a loud explosion, the fist chi was instantly shattered. The sword ray cut through Guchanga's body like a hot knife through butter. The Dragon Meridian physique transformation was destroyed by the sword chi. The sage weapon, the dragon scale armor, became dim and cracked. The terrifying impact caused Guchanga to spit out blood again. The mighty dragon poise was forcefully shattered by this sword attack. Stop talking nonsense. In the end, it's just a sword attack. Chapter 28. Wherever the sword light passed, the void almost collapsed. The vast and majestic dragon might completely collapsed and turned into nothingness. The crown prince of the royal Azure dynasty, Guchanga, was sent flying on the spot as he spat out a mouthful of blood. This was the second time he had been sent flying by Chu Kuangren. Moreover, it was only a single strike. Crown Prince. Elder Ouyang's face changed, and he hurriedly rushed forward. At this time, Guchanga's situation was much worse than before. Even the dragon scale armor was cracked. The terrifying sword chi eroded through the crack, constantly destroying Guchanga's body. It's just a spar. Why are you being so heavy-handed? Elder Ouyang glared at Chu Kuangren. The horrifying honorable poise was unleashed towards Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren, on the other hand, had the sword of the heavens above his head and the green lotus sword chi beneath his feet. With the Nine Heaven Sword Prison revolving around his body, he was not afraid at all in the face of an honorable's interrogation. It's just one strike. Chu Kuangren's intention was obvious. All he did was unleash his sword. He could only blame Guchanga for being so weak that she couldn't even block his sword. Elder Ouyang was exasperated, but he did not know how to refute. Was Guchanga weak? If he was weak, he wouldn't have been able to defeat 6 great sage orthodoxies in a row. On the contrary, he was very strong, and there weren't many in the same generation who could compare to him. Then why did he lose so badly? That was because Chu Kuangren was too powerful. Supreme Taoist physique, golden jade body, sage ruler technique, 3 supreme foundations, sage artifact. Any one of these was enough to shock the world. And all of this was concentrated on one person. How terrifying was that? The more Elder Ouyang thought about it, the more shocked he became. His gaze towards Chu Kuangren became more and more solemn. His honorable poise continued to crash against Chu Kuangren's 3 great Taoist physique transformations, but Chu Kuangren still stood firm. He had actually used his 3 Taoist body avatars to block the power of a supreme being. Just when Elder Ouyang wanted to increase his power to test Chu Kuangren's limits, an equally domineering aura suddenly erupted. It was Honorable Xian Qi. He glared at Elder Ouyang with an unfriendly expression and said, "Old man Ouyang, do you have a death wish?" Honorable Xian Qi was surrounded by purple sword chi. Each strand was powerful enough to tear mountains, rivers, and earth apart. The might of the Supreme Honorable Being instantly sealed the entire area. Elder Ouyang's heart trembled. It was true that he was also an honorable one, but compared to Honorable Xianqi, who was an honorable supreme who was in charge of an orthodoxy, he was far inferior. If the other party wanted to, he could even kill him in one move. I forgot myself. Elder Ouyang took a deep breath and restrained his aura. In someone else's place, he had no choice but to lower his head. Umph. Honorable Xianqi scoffed. Elder Ouyang looked at Guchanga. The dignified crown prince of the royal Azure dynasty was lying on the ground in a pathetic state. His eyes were lifeless as he looked at Chu Kuangren while he muttered, "Impossible, this is impossible." Obviously, the invincible heart had completely collapsed. In fact, one's Dao heart might even be clouded and develop mental demons. And that inner demon was none other than Chu Kuangren. In other words, Guchanga might be traumatized. This is the invincible heart? Aren't you a little too weak? You can't even handle it mentally. Chu Kuangren looked at Guchanga and shook his head. Seeing Guchanga's crushing defeat, the surrounding disciples couldn't help but smile. Elder Senior Brother's attack is indeed extraordinary. Yeah, look at Guchanga. It seems that he has already developed mental demons. In the future, when he sees Elder Senior Brother, he will be afraid before he even fights. Do you remember what Elder Senior Brother said before Guchanga came? Guchanga is nothing to be afraid of. At first, I thought Elder Senior Brother was trying to boost morale. I didn't expect him to really look down on Guchanga. Guchanga is nothing to be afraid of. He really is nothing to be afraid of. It's just a matter of one sword. Haha, how satisfying. With Elder Senior Brother here, the sky prides of the world will be overshadowed. The voices of discussion rose and fell one after another, constantly entering Guchanga's ears. The more he listened, the angrier he felt. However, after seeing Chu Kuangren, a sense of powerlessness surged in his heart. These two feelings swelled in his chest, as if a mountain was pressing down on him, making him almost breathless. In the end, Guchanga could no longer bear it. He violently spat out a mouthful of blood. His vision went black, his head tilted, and he completely fainted. How did he faint? Chu Kuangren blinked, feeling that Guchanga's psychological endurance was not very good. He actually fainted because of someone's words. Elder Ouyang was shocked. He quickly went forward and carried Guchanga in his arms. He kept injecting spiritual energy into her to alleviate her injuries. Then his figure turned into a stream of light and flew out of the mountain gate. How rude of you to leave without saying goodbye. Chu Kuangren curled his lips. He slowly retracted his vision, and the boundless sword-based Taoist rhyme dissipated, replaced by an ethereal and otherworldly banished immortal temperament. Countless disciples looked at Chu Kuangren, their hearts thumping, and countless gazes of admiration fell on him. After noticing these gazes, Chu Kuangren smiled at the crowd, maintaining his amiable and humble Elder Senior Brother persona, who knew how many people's souls were hooked by his smile. Oh my God, Elder Senior Brother looks so good when he smiles. This is cheating, I'm going to die. I'll see you in this life. If you don't marry me, I won't marry either. Chu Kuangren came to the front of Honorable Xianqi and said, I've completed my mission. I've defeated Guchanga. Good. Honorable Xianqi praised Chu Kuangren a few times, looking at him with extreme satisfaction. After this battle, your name will be known throughout the Azure Dragon domain, but you've also formed a grudge with the Royal Azure Crown Prince, Elder Rian said. Chu Kuangren smiled confidently and said, It's fine. If I can defeat him once, I can defeat him a second time, and a third time. He won't be able to defeat me. Haha, well said. Honorable Xianqi laughed and said, Cultivators should have this kind of confidence. It's just a Royal Azure Crown Prince, there's nothing to worry about. As long as those old farts don't make a move, we'll let you young people solve your own problems. However, if they want to mess around, then the Black Heaven sect will not allow anyone to bully us. As soon as he said that, Honorable Xianqi's eyes flashed with a hint of coldness, and everyone felt the temperature in the air drop. However, that feeling disappeared very quickly. Everyone knew that the Royal Azure Dynasty had better not make things difficult for Chu Kuangren, because of what happened today. Otherwise, the wrath of an honorable supreme would not be easy to bear. By the way, Kuangren, there's something I want to ask you. Honorable Xianqi looked at Lan Yu next to him and asked, "Is this lady your follower?" "Yes. This lady has a good aptitude. What's her background?" "Lan Yu has the holy radiant physique." Chu Kuangren did not hide it. As soon as he said that, everyone's mind went blank and they looked at Lan Yu in disbelief. Another supreme Taoist physique. Not to mention, Chu Kuangren's follower. Thinking of this, everyone admired Chu Kuangren even more. To have a supreme Taoist physique as a follower, how many people had the honor? However, Honorable Xianqi's face was a little solemn. A supreme Taoist physique suddenly appeared. Could there be something fishy about it? "Don't worry, honorable teacher. Lan Yu is absolutely reliable," Chu Kuangren said. Honorable Xianqi pondered for a moment, and then nodded. "Yes, as long as you know what you're doing. If someone really wanted to plot something, sending a supreme Taoist physique as a chess piece would be too extravagant. Moreover, Lan Yu was from the winged human tribe, and there were no supreme Taoist physiques in the winged human tribe. If such a sky pride appeared, how could they be willing to let her go? It seems that this is Kuangren's own opportunity. Chapter 29. After defeating Guchanga, Chu Kuangren suddenly made a request to Honorable Xianqi to go out and train. After all, this was a great place, and he could not always stay in Black Heaven sect. That would be too boring. Besides, he was now a nascent soul cultivator, and with his various trump cards he had the strength to protect himself. It was time for him to go out and see. Flowers in a greenhouse can't withstand the wind and rain. "Kuangren, it's not impossible for you to go out and train, but wait for another 2 days. I'll arrange a protector for you," Honorable Xianqi said. When the sky prides of the orthodoxies went out, to ensure their safety, they would usually be provided with a protector. Especially for a sky pride like Chu Kuangren, they could not be careless. "All right." Chu Kuangren nodded slightly. He was also quite curious about his protector. Black Heaven sect back mountain. There were a few thatched cottages in the green bamboo forest. Only a few people in the entire Black Heaven sect knew about these cottages, and inside these cottages were the strongest secrets of Black Heaven sect. Creak. One of the cottages suddenly opened. A white-robed old man with white hair and beard walked out. "Seventh forefather, are you sure what to do?" An old voice came from another thatched cottage. The white-robed old man smiled lightly. "I'm a candle in the wind, and I don't have much time left. While I still have some use, I'll take a trip to the mortal world. If you rest, you can live for at least 100 years, but if you go out and meet a strong cultivator, I'm afraid you won't last more than a few years," the voice in the cottage advised. "Hey, I know, but that junior is really outstanding. I want to protect him and go out into the mortal world again." The seventh forefather smiled lightly. The cottages fell into silence. After a while, a voice came from one of the cottages again. "If that's the case, then go and walk your last path." "Thank you, second forefather." The seventh forefather bowed slightly, then turned and walked out of the bamboo forest. The breeze blew, and the bamboo leaves rustled. On this day, an old honorable once again entered the mortal world for the sake of a junior. Black Heaven sect, at the mountain gate. The crowd moved as countless disciples looked at the white-robed figure outside the mountain gate. Their eyes were filled with a strong reluctance to part with him. That was the Black Heaven sect's eldest senior brother, Chu Kuangren. Today was the day he would go out to train. "Boo-hoo, eldest senior brother is about to leave. I'm so sad." "Who isn't? When I think about not being able to see eldest senior brother for a long time, I don't even have the motivation to cultivate anymore." "Eldest senior brother, take care. The mountain is high and the road is long. Eldest senior brother, you must be careful. Master, you must be careful when you're out there. Don't ever starve or catch a cold." Lil Bing looked at Chu Kuangren tearfully and said. Chu Kuangren patted her head and chuckled. "Take good care of the towering heaven palace, cultivate well, and wait for my return. And I will definitely try my best." Lil Bing nodded heavily. Gongzi was so outstanding. How could she not work hard? Chu Kuangren looked at Honorable Xianqi again. This Honorable Supreme also revealed a trace of reluctance at this time. But he also knew that a young eagle would eventually learn to soar on its own. Kuangren, the outside world is not like the Black Heaven sect. Although you have peerless talent, people are sinister. You must be careful. Think twice before you act. Honorable Xianqi said. Honorable teacher, I understand. You don't have to worry. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly. Kuangren, the world is in chaos now. It has revealed the appearance of a world of great competition. Sky prides from all great orthodoxies are emerging one after another. Hundreds of flowers are blooming. You must be careful when you go out. Although it's best to be careful, don't let our Black Heaven sect's reputation down. Remember, you're the Black Heaven sect's senior brother. Black Heaven sect will always be your strongest shield. Elder Ruyan said earnestly. Upon hearing that, Chu Kuangren nodded and smiled confidently. Don't worry, Elder. Before I descend into the world, let the flowers bloom all over the place and compete with each other for beauty. But after I descend into the world, I'll be the only one who stands out. As soon as these words came out, Honorable Xianqi and the others were slightly stunned. Then they laughed loudly and looked at Chu Kuangren with great admiration. The rest of the disciples were also encouraged, and no longer acted like a little girl. Well said, Elder Senior Brother. We shouldn't have asked Elder Senior Brother to stay. Elder Senior Brother is going to win glory for our Black Heaven sect. He is going to be famous. What a good standout. As expected of our Elder Senior Brother, countless disciples looked at Chu Kuangren with even more admiration. Chu Kuangren cupped his hands at the crowd and then turned to leave. Lan Yu followed behind him and walked down the mountain. 2 supreme Taoist physiques had officially entered the world. 3 days had passed since Chu Kuangren defeated Gu Chang'e. Before Chu Kuangren entered the world, his reputation had already spread. After all, it was hard not to attract attention when he defeated the Royal Azure Crown Prince. Not to mention he had a supreme Taoist physique. For a time, the Azure Dragon domain was shocked. Gu Chang'e lost. Gu Chang'e has finally lost. He lost to the new lead disciple of Black Heaven sect, Chu Kuangren, and it was a crushing defeat. He was defeated by 1 sword. What? Is Chu Kuangren that strong? When did the Black Heaven sect have such a supreme sky pride? Gu Chang'e defeated 6 great sage orthodoxies, and was already invincible when he went to the Black Heaven sect. How could Chu Kuangren defeat him with 1 sword? If this is true, then Chu Kuangren should be called a young emperor. Investigate. Find out who this person is. Gu Chang'e. He defeated 6 great sage orthodoxies in a row. How impressive. But in the end he was defeated by someone else. I think his heart of invincibility has been broken, and there is one less obstacle on his path to becoming an emperor. The news of Chu Kuangren defeating Gu Chang'e spread everywhere. Information about Chu Kuangren was also dug out. Among them, the Supreme Taoist Physique, the 3 Supreme Foundation levels, and the self-created Sage Ruler technique were the most eye-catching. Oh my God, is he a monster? Is this for real? Is it that exaggerated? Pfft, it's just a rumor. I don't believe such a demonic sky pride exists in this world. It must be made up. With such talent, he should be called a young emperor. Some believed it, while others doubted it. In short, Chu Kuangren's name became a hot topic among the orthodoxies. Some nosy people even named Chu Kuangren as a young emperor. What was a young emperor? It was a young emperor who had yet to become an emperor. Usually, it was a title given to those supreme sky prides. Those who were given the title of young emperor were the most dazzling sky prides in Firmament Star. Even Gu Chang'e was not qualified to be given such a title. Since Chu Kuangren had only been famous for a short time and had too few battle achievements, the title of young emperor was soon forgotten. But soon after, another piece of news flew in all directions. Chu Kuangren had entered the realm. Moreover, before he entered the realm, he had issued a challenge to all the sky prides in the world. He wanted to fight against the world alone. When this news came out, everyone was shocked. Chapter 30. Haha, no matter how many flowers he blooms in the garden, I shall stand out from the rest. Well done, Chu Kuangren. You live up to your name. I'd like to see how long you can keep up your arrogance. In the sage orthodoxy Jiang Valley, a purple-robed, strong-looking young man sneered as he looked at the rising sun in the distance. In another sage orthodoxy, the school of White Lotus, a beautiful lady in a long white dress with bells around her ankles sat by a pond. Her fair feet gently swayed, creating waves. Blooming flowers in the garden, standing out from the rest? Does this elder senior brother of the Black Heaven sect really have the strength? Or is he just talking nonsense? Comparing the world to a garden, is he really that talented? Or is his life as fragile as a piece of paper? Let's hope he's not another Guchanga. The Taoists of the various sage orthodoxies reacted fiercely. Some even responded on the spot when they heard the news. I am Yuan Hong of the Dharma sect. Since elder senior brother of the Black Heaven sect thinks that he can stand out from the rest, then when we meet again in the future, we shall have a spar to see who is better. Yuan Hong of the Dharma sect replied. That was considered a milder response. In contrast, another sage orthodoxy, the Five Ways sect, reacted much more fiercely. It was said that the Taoist of the Five Ways sect, Fang Tian, smashed a coral tree on the spot when he heard the news. Someone who has been hiding in the sect for more than 10 years dares to spout such nonsense? What a joke. I hope you don't meet me in the future, or else I'll let you know the power of the Five Ways Tao. I'll let you know the consequences of your arrogance. Apart from the Five Ways sect and the Dharma sect, even the princes and princesses of the royal Azure dynasty had spoken up. How dare you, Chu Kuangren? Not only did you hurt my brother, you even dare to declare war on the world. Very well, I'll definitely meet you in the future. The third prince of the royal Azure dynasty announced. Chu Kuangren hurt my brother. I, Princess Linglong, will remember this. If we meet again in the future, don't blame me for being merciless. The first princess, Princess Linglong, followed suit. Chu Kuangren, how dare you? As expected of his name, he has just entered the world, and he already dares to declare war on the world. He is indeed arrogant. I hope he can live for a few more days. The tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. If you're too aggressive, you'll fall sooner or later. Do you really think you're invincible just because you defeated Guchanga? I'm waiting to see you make a fool of yourself. It's just another Guchanga. All of a sudden, Chu Kuangren seemed to have become the target of every sky pride in the world. Regardless of whether they were powerful or not, everyone wanted to condemn him. It was as if he could become superior by doing so. At this time, Chu Kuangren, who had become the center of attention, had just left the Black Heaven sect with Lan Yu and headed straight towards the south. He seemed to have a clear purpose. Young master, where are we going? Lan Yu asked curiously. To search for treasures. Chu Kuangren waved the blueprint in his hand and smiled. During the 10 consecutive lucky draws, Chu Kuangren had once drawn a starlight grade treasure map. The reason he came out to train this time was to hunt for treasures. Coincidentally, the treasure was hidden in the Azure Dragon domain. According to the treasure map, this treasure is hidden in a mountain range near the White Cloud City of the Azure Dragon domain, Chu Kuangren murmured. Besides the treasures, there was another thing that piqued Chu Kuangren's interest. That was the White Cloud City Lord. Rumor had it that the current White Cloud City Lord, Yi Wuheng, was a top-notch honorable swordsman. Together with his own honorable master, they were the two pinnacle swordsmen of the Azure Dragon domain. Chu Kuangren knew of Honorable Xianqi, who was an honorable supreme. Although he had never seen him in action, he had used the Eye of Revelation and obtained some information. His combat strength definitely far exceeded other honorables. For Yi Wuheng to be on the same level as his honorable master, he must be extraordinary as well. Perhaps he could visit White Cloud City this time. 2 days later, Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu arrived at the location marked on the treasure map. However, in front of them was an empty mountainous area. Forget about treasures, there was not even a single strand of hair. Young master, could we be in the wrong place? No, it's here. Chu Kuangren smiled confidently and said. The map says that there is a formation hidden in the void where the treasure is hidden. It needs to be attacked by Earth Qi to reveal itself. Earth Qi attack? Yes. Chu Kuangren smiled. Then he looked at the void in front of him and let out a soft roar. He unleashed his nascent soul cultivation and gathered the earth chi around him. It was the sage ruler technique, the human mountain stamp. Chu Kuangren formed a seal with his hand, and a mysterious Taoist rhyme circulated. The surrounding mountains and rivers trembled as the majestic earth chi transformed into a giant godly mountain. The godly mountain crashed into the void as if it had crashed into a barrier. With a loud bang, a large amount of earth chi flowed in all directions and attacked the surroundings. A burst of dazzling light suddenly shot up into the sky. Then, a giant golden door appeared in the void. On the door, there were carvings of mountains, strange beasts, the sun and the moon. On top of the door, there were two big words that were full of mysterious Taoist rhymes. Yuan Ling. The golden door hung in the void, emitting waves of auspicious light and surrounded by Taoist rhymes. All living beings within a 10,000-mile radius could clearly sense it. Even some strong cultivators who were further away could feel the abnormality. What is that? A door? Such a strong energy fluctuation, and such a rich Taoist rhyme. Could it be that some kind of treasure has appeared? Let's go take a look. This is a great opportunity of fortune. It should be mine. Yuan Ling. By the heavens, could it be the famous Honorable Yuan Ling from 20,000 years ago, who was known as the #1 cultivator below the sages? Honorable Yuan Ling died when he was trying to ascend to the sage realm 20,000 years ago. Rumor has it that before he died, he hid all the treasures he had collected in a secret place. Could this be where Honorable Yuan Ling hid his treasures? Rumor has it that Honorable Yuan Ling's treasure vault contains the sage's opportunity of fortune. If we can get it, we can become a sage. Let's go, let's go. All of a sudden, countless strong cultivators noticed that something was amiss. Countless people went crazy over it. An Honorable Supreme's treasure vault was shocking enough to make countless cultivators scramble for it. Let alone the sage's opportunity of fortune. How many sages were there in the entire firmament star? It was crazy. Everyone rushed towards the golden door like a madman. Chu Kuangren was dumbfounded by the scene before him. What a scam! All he wanted was to go on a treasure hunt and leave after he was done with it. Now that he had caused such a huge commotion and attracted everyone here, how was he supposed to get rich quietly? The seventh forefather, who was secretly protecting him, was so shocked that he almost bit his tongue off. He had indeed seen Chu Kuangren holding a so-called treasure map and blindly studying it for the past few days, but he did not pay much attention to it. After all, there were many treasure maps. Some eccentric strong cultivators liked to leave all kinds of puzzles for others to solve, especially treasure maps. He had seen too many of them when he was young. Who would have thought that it was Honorable Yuan Ling's treasure map? The seventh forefather was dumbfounded. He had long heard that Chu Kuangren would cause a huge commotion every few days when he was in the sect, but who would have thought that this guy would cause such a huge commotion within 2 days of coming out to train? Honorable Yuan Ling's treasure vault. How many strong cultivators would be attracted to it? Chapter 31. The location of Honorable Yuan Ling's treasure had been exposed. The surging Taoist rhymes and the auspicious golden lights had attracted countless strong cultivators, especially the White Cloud City not far away. Countless sword lights flashed out one after another. Among them, the first white sword ray was the fastest and the most dazzling. Everyone could not help but marvel at it. It's the eldest son of Honorable Swordsman White Cloud. He's here too. Looks like Honorable Yuan Ling's treasure is very attractive. In front of Honorable Yuan Ling's treasure, Chu Kuangren looked at the golden door that was releasing its presence, and shook his head helplessly. What a scam! Let's go! Chu Kuangren pulled Lan Yu and rushed through the golden door. The moment they entered the door, Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu's eyes lit up, and they found themselves in a dense forest. This is a lesser realm, Chu Kuangren said in surprise. Legend had it that some great cultivators who were proficient in spatial techniques could create a lesser realm. Obviously, Honorable Yuan Ling was one of those great cultivators. Chu Kuangren leaped into the air and stood 100 meters above the ground. He looked around and found that he was surrounded by a vast forest. Not only that, but he also found that there was a limit to the sky. He could only fly 100 meters above the ground. Any higher and he would encounter a barrier. After landing on the ground, Chu Kuangren took out the treasure map and found that the route on it had changed. Oh, this is a new map. How considerate. Chu Kuangren led Lan Yu in the direction of the treasure map. Not long after they left, a group of people also entered the lesser realm. Countless spiritual thoughts instantly surged in all directions. Where is the treasure? No, there's a restriction in this space. My spiritual thoughts are limited to a radius of 3 feet. It's useless. Then use your eyes. We must find it. The group flew in all directions. However, not long after, these people encountered all kinds of difficulties. Some encountered terrifying beasts, some triggered traps and were killed by countless sword chi, and some were trapped in a certain place. At this time, Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu were leisurely walking on a small path filled with flowers and birds. Chu Kuangren held the treasure map in his hand and said, "Tsk, there are countless traps and powerful beasts hidden in this small world. Without the correct route to guide us, finding the treasure is as difficult as ascending the heavens." He could almost imagine how miserable the cultivators who had entered the small world were right now. They were in a terrible state. About half an hour later, Chu Kuangren arrived at a palace. This palace was hidden in the depths of the mountain range. It was dazzling in gold and jade, and it flowed with the aura of the Tao. Streaks of symbols were engraved on the surrounding pillars. Found it. Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up. The two of them walked into the palace, and what entered their eyes was a large number of treasures that emitted the light of treasures. There were spirit stones, spirit marrow, elixirs, weapons. There were even more than 10 supreme artifacts and sacred weapons. Treasures filled the entire palace, and in the corner, there was a pond filled with a golden liquid. That was the earth's spiritual marrow, although it couldn't compare to the heaven's spiritual essence. The value of this pond full of earth's spiritual essence was so high that even some supremes would covet it. There was also a wooden box in the center of the palace. The shape of the box was gorgeous, and there were dragons and phoenixes carved on it. There seemed to be Tao rhymes emanating from it. So many treasures. Lan Yu could not help but be surprised. The seventh forefather, who was hiding in the dark, could not help but feel a ripple in his Taoist core. As expected of the Honorable Yuan Ling, who was known to be invincible under the sages 20,000 years ago. This kind of heritage is indeed amazing. But how did he get the treasures so easily? It's a little unbelievable that the treasures of the Honorable Yuan Ling don't even have a single mechanism or restriction spell. Or could it be that this little guy's treasure map has the correct route? If that's the case, then he must be very lucky. Just a few days after leaving the sect, he had already obtained an Honorable Supreme's treasure vault. Even the seventh forefather could not help but be a little envious of such luck. This scepter has such a strong light aura. Suddenly, Lan Yu was attracted by a scepter and reached out to touch it. However, she was stopped by Chu Kuangren. Wait a moment. Master. Lan Yu was a little confused. Be careful, there are mechanisms. Chu Kuangren said solemnly. He had seen scenes like this many times in television dramas. When treasure hunters saw a treasure, they could not help but grab it and then trigger the mechanism. Either they killed their teammates, or they died together. Those tricks in television dramas don't exist here. Chu Kuangren said something that Lan Yu did not understand, and then he began to inspect the surroundings. He circulated his spiritual thought and scanned the entire hall. He also carefully observed each treasure, but he was determined not to touch them recklessly. The seventh forefather who was hiding in the dark smiled when he saw that. This little guy was quite vigilant. Just as he was thinking, he suddenly noticed something, and his gaze changed slightly. There's something fishy here. At that moment, Chu Kuangren noticed something. Under his observation, most of the treasures in this hall had a very fine layer of dust on their surface. This dust was hard to see with the naked eye, so Chu Kuangren only noticed it after scanning it a few times with his spiritual thought. But what is this thing? Chu Kuangren was thinking if he should take the risk and give it a try. After all, he had the immortal body. That's the Tridark ruler's dust. At that moment, an old voice rang in Chu Kuangren's ears. Chu Kuangren's heart skipped a beat. He knew that this was the protector that the Black Heaven sect had arranged for him, but he had not shown himself yet. The Tridarch ruler's dust is something that I've only read about in ancient books. Rumor has it that this item is an extremely evil item. It looks like a speck of dust, but its power is extremely terrifying. Even a battle monarch would be instantly corroded into a puddle of blood if they touch it. Even an honorable would not dare to touch it. The seventh forefather explained. After hearing that, Lan Yu's expression changed slightly, and she subconsciously took a few steps back. She looked at the treasures as if she was looking at a monster. This honorable Yuanling is quite insidious. Chu Kuangren laughed. Then he asked the seventh forefather for a solution. That's easy. As soon as the seventh forefather finished speaking, a breeze blew in the hall, and the wind swirled the dust into a ball the size of an egg. This item is very powerful. If it's used properly, it may be of great use, the seventh forefather said. Chu Kuangren quickly took out a bottle and stored the dust. This item was effective on living beings, but it had no effect on inanimate objects. Otherwise, the treasures in the hall would have long been corroded. You're quite vigilant. Even I almost didn't notice this Tridarch ruler's dust. Good, very good. The seventh forefather praised. Safety first when you're out. Chu Kuangren smiled. Then he began to store the treasures in the hall into his yin and yang ring. He also opened the wooden box to have a look. Inside was actually a strand of purple gas. This purple haze was filled with terrifying Taoist rhymes. When the wooden box was opened, waves of mysterious Taoist rhymes reverberated in the void. It was as if a sage was preaching, and there was even a strange fragrance. This is the Sage Foundation, the primordial purple haze. At that moment, the seventh forefather could not help but exclaim. Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up too. He had heard of the primordial purple haze before. This item was too famous. It was the Sage Foundation, an unparalleled treasure. To put it this way, if an honorable had the primordial purple haze, he could become a sage within 100 years. However, there was a drawback to using the primordial purple haze to become a sage, and that was that he would only become the weakest sage, and it would be very difficult for him to improve further. No matter what, he was still a sage, an existence that stood above billions of living beings. Chapter 32. I didn't expect that the so-called opportunity to become a sage in Yuanling's treasure house is this primordial violet qi. It's just that Sovereign Yuanling was a peerless genius back then, so I'm sure he disdained to use this primordial violet qi to become a saint. It's a pity that he failed to overcome the heavenly tribulation. Otherwise, with his battle prowess after becoming a saint, he might even have the chance to suppress an entire era. The seventh ancestor sighed with emotion. Upon hearing that, Chu Kuangren asked, Senior, do you have any use for this item? Keep it. You can use it or give it to the other supreme beings in the sect. It's better than giving it to an old man like me. The seventh forefather laughed. However, Chu Kuangren could sense a sense of desolation in her voice. What he didn't know was that the seventh patriarch had already entered Deva Decay Stage 5, and was nearing the end of his lifespan. Even if the primordial violet qi was given to him, he probably wouldn't have the time to comprehend it, and it would just be a waste. Chu Kuangren did not ask any questions, and kept the primordial purple haze. He had no intention of using the violet energy. Using the primordial purple haze to become a sage meant that his combat strength would be the weakest because the daos he gained were not his own. Chu Kuangren had to rely on his own strength to become a sage. He had a supreme Taoist body and a supreme foundation, so it would not be a problem. Although there was no need for the purple gas, it could still be used by other people in the Black Heaven sect, such as Honorable Xianqi, Elder Ruyan, and a few other honorables. After looting the palace, Chu Kuangren did not even let go of a single soul stone before he left in satisfaction. Boom! A terrifying sword light burst out and tore a malevolent demonic beast into two halves. Blood rained down from the sky and dyed the mountain forest red. In the air, a middle-aged man in a white robe held a supreme treasure sword with a cold expression on his face. If anyone from the White Cloud City was here, they would definitely recognize this person. It was the eldest son of the White Cloud City Lord, Yi Baifeng. Sir, The scouts ahead reported that they found a palace 300 miles ahead. A swordsman suddenly arrived. Yi Baifeng's eyes lit up. Let's go. Very quickly, Yi Baifeng saw the palace hidden in the depths of the mountain from afar, and his face instantly revealed a look of ecstasy. That must be where autarch Yuan Ling hid his treasures. The opportunity to become a sage must be inside. Just as Yi Baifeng and the rest were about to approach, suddenly, a series of roars came from afar. Gibbon with black fur all over their bodies leaped out from the forest, each of them exuding an incomparably violent aura. The leader of the group was a combat king. Damn it. These ape demons have all been refined into puppets by Honorable Yuan Ling. Although they don't have any intelligence, they aren't afraid of death and are extremely difficult to deal with. It's just a group of animals. There's no need to be afraid. The treasury is right in front of us. How can we retreat? That's right, this is a great opportunity for us. Kill. I can't return empty-handed. The group of cultivators instantly clashed with the gibbon. Terrifying energy burst out and swept through the forest. Yi Baifeng, on the other hand, faced the leader of the group, the gibbon. This gibbon's strength was extremely terrifying. Its eyes were blood red, and it was filled with a murderous aura. Every time it waved its arms, it would create a violent flow of spirit chi. His battle prowess had already reached the peak of the War King realm. Although Yi Baifeng was strong, he couldn't do anything to the gibbon in such a short amount of time. As time passed, he started to get impatient. Honorable Yuan Ling's treasury was right in front of him, but it was blocked by a group of apes. If this dragged on, and someone else got to it first, it would be like drawing water with a sieve. Thinking about this, Yi Baifeng gritted his teeth and took out a small silver sword. It was a small sword that his father, Honorable Swordsman White Cloud, once used. It would be equivalent to an attack from Honorable Swordsman White Cloud. What kind of person was Honorable Swordsman White Cloud? Honorable Supreme. A casual swing of his sword was enough to kill any war king. I can't care so much anymore, go. Yi Baifeng activated the small silver sword. In an instant, a terrifying Taoist rhyme filled the sky. 1,000 feet long silver sword ray descended from the sky, locking onto the Gibbon King. Roar! The Gibbon King roared into the sky, trying its best to defend. However, an attack from an Honorable Supreme was powerful enough to overturn the mountains and seas. The moment it came into contact with the sword ray, the Gibbon King exploded into a mist of blood, while the sword ray fell into the mountains. Boom! With a loud bang, the entire small world shook. In the void, cracks began to appear. Large pieces of space began to crumble and shatter. Everyone who had entered the pocket dimension was shocked by this sudden commotion, and their pupils shrank, and their faces turned pale. F***CK, damn it, which idiot dared to use the power of an Honorable Supreme in this small world? Is he tired of living? The small world is starting to shatter. There's not much time left. We can't find the treasury anymore. Our lives are more important. We have to leave this place as soon as possible. The terrifying power formed by the collapse of a small world is no joke. Even an Honorable Supreme would find it hard to survive. Those who knew that they had no hope of finding the treasury left. After all, no matter how tempting the treasury was, it was not as important as their lives. As for Yi Baifeng, after killing the Gibbon King, the remaining sword chi also scattered the rest of the Gibbon Kings. There's not much time left, let's go. Yi Baifeng took this opportunity to lead the crowd into the palace. But what welcomed them was an empty palace. How could this be? Where's the treasury? Where did it go? Everyone's expression changed. They fought so hard to get here, thinking that there would be countless treasures waving at them. Who would have thought that it would be such a desolate scene? Yi Baifeng's tone was gloomy. Don't be discouraged, search. Everyone used their spiritual sense to scan the area, not leaving a single corner untouched. In a short while, the entire palace was searched inside and out. They even dug up the floor tiles, but not a single spiritual stone was found, not to mention the treasury. Then, a cultivator found a few footprints on the stairs of the palace. This meant that someone had been here before. The treasury had been taken by someone else. This made Yi Baifeng furious. He worked so hard to get here, and for the sake of the treasury, he even used the treasure his father gave him, but now he didn't even have a single strand of hair. Who is it? Yi Baifeng was practically roaring out loud. He thought of something, and took out a white crystal from his universe ring, his eyes carrying the last bit of hope. This is a backtrack stone. It contains a trace of the Tao of time. It can turn back time and capture images of recent events in a place. This was a treasure that Yi Baifeng obtained during his early years of training. It had been in his possession for a long time, but he had never used it. At this time, he could only hope that this item could help him. He tossed the backtrack stone into the air, and rays of mysterious lights flashed before a few images appeared in the air. In the images, there was a man and a woman. The man was extremely handsome, like an immortal, while the woman had long silver hair and a peerless face. The images showed that it was these two who took away the treasures. Look, could that be the primordial purple haze? Suddenly, a cultivator exclaimed. In the images, Chu Kuangren opened the wooden box, and within it was a purple haze. It was the primordial purple haze, the foundation of becoming a sage. Who are these two? Go and find them. We must find them, take back the treasures, and take back the primordial purple haze. Chapter 33. The Lesser Realm is starting to collapse. Chu Kuangren suddenly sensed a spatial anomaly. Let's go. The seventh forefather suddenly said. Even he did not dare to underestimate the power of the Lesser Realm's collapse. Chu Kuangren did not dare to delay any longer. He quickly left the Lesser Realm with Lan Yu and headed in a certain direction once they arrived in the outside world. The others who escaped from the Lesser Realm did the same. Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu arrived at a place a few kilometers away from Honorable Yuanling's treasury. From afar, they could see the golden door beginning to shatter, and the surrounding space also began to crack like a spider web. A terrifying force began to brew, and the surrounding forest began to distort under this force as it continuously flowed towards the door. Then the door was instantly shattered, forming a miniature black hole. The black hole was only the size of a fist, but the terrifying force that erupted from it made everyone's scalp tingle. The entire Lesser Realm, and everything within a 10-kilometer radius was sucked into the black hole, disintegrating into countless particles and turning into nothingness. Finally, the black hole disappeared. A gigantic crater formed within a 10-kilometer radius. A sense of death still lingered in the air. All the cultivators who witnessed the Lesser Realm's collapse felt an indescribable shock. In the face of such power, they were too insignificant. Chu Kuangren took a deep breath. How terrifying. Although he was a little scared overall, he was very satisfied with this treasure hunt as he had obtained quite a lot of good stuff. The primordial purple haze alone made this trip worthwhile. However, compared to him, the other cultivators were not so lucky. F***ck. I almost lost my life instead of getting anything. D***. What a waste of a trip. Who the hell obtained Yuanling's treasury in the end? Speaking of which, it's still unknown how this Yuanling's treasury appeared. Could it be someone else's plot? If that's the case, the mastermind behind this is too vicious. He destroyed the Lesser Realm and tried to kill us all. I better not find out who did it. Some were regretful, some were angry, and some were conspiratorial. As the instigator of this incident, Chu Kuangren said nothing, afraid that others would see through him. He brought Lan Yu with him, and was about to leave this place. Fellow Taoist, please wait. At that moment, a voice rang out. A young man in a white robe appeared in front of Chu Kuangren and his companion. The young man had a handsome face, and was one of the most handsome men around. Unfortunately, compared to Chu Kuangren, he was at least 2 levels lower. The young man was also incomparably stunning. He had never thought that there would be a man in this world who was even more handsome than him. It was simply inconceivable. I am the young master of the White Jade Tower, Li Xingchen. I see that the two of you look extraordinary, so I would like to befriend you, Li Xingchen said. His words had attracted the attention of many people around him. They looked at Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu in shock. The two of them look extraordinary. This is especially so for that man. There's a faintly discernible aura of the Tao on him. He's like a banished immortal. There's actually such a man in this world. That's Li Xingqian from the White Jade Tower. Rumor has it that he's the most handsome man in White Cloud City. It's best to make friends with good-looking people. No wonder he sought out these two. These two fellows are extraordinary. I wonder if they are disciples from some orthodoxy who have come out to train? If there is a need, I can make friends with them. Chu Kuangren, on the other hand, looked at Li Xingqian in surprise. He had also heard the discussions around him. Making friends with good-looking people the most? This Li Xingqian was a person who valued appearances. My name is Chu Kuangren. Greetings, Brother Li. Oh, it's Brother Chu. My apologies for not recognizing. Before Li Xingqian could finish his sentence, his face suddenly froze. What did he just hear? Chu Kuangren? The Chu Kuangren who had declared war on the world. Brother Li, what's wrong? Chu Kuangren looked at Li Xingqian in confusion. At that moment, he was still clueless about the impact of the words he had said when he entered the realm. Wait, something's not right. There's killing intent. Chu Kuangren's expression changed slightly as he looked around cautiously. When the surrounding cultivators heard his name, they all looked at him with hostility. This was especially so for a few young cultivators. There was even a hint of eagerness in their eyes. Master, something doesn't feel right. Lan Yu was also on guard. I see it too. Chu Kuangren nodded. At that moment, a young cultivator dressed in black suddenly stood out and stared at Chu Kuangren coldly. You're the Chu Kuangren who declared war on the world, the elder senior brother of the Black Heaven sect? Chu Kuangren was even more confused. I'm indeed the elder senior brother of the Black Heaven sect, but I think you've misunderstood something. When did I declare war on the world? Please, he had just entered the realm. Declare war on the world? He did not have the ability to do so. He was just a small nascent soul cultivator. Before I entered the realm, flowers bloomed all over the world. Now that I've entered the realm, I'll be the only one. You're the one who said that. The black-robed cultivator said coldly. That's right, I did say that. Wait. Chu Kuangren seemed to have understood something. Did these people take his words as a declaration of war? What kind of joke was that? He just said it in a moment of excitement. At that time, there were so many disciples and elders who came to send him off. He had to say something to show off his status as the elder senior brother. It had only been a few days, and the news had already spread? Since you said it, then it'll be easy. Today, I'll see for myself how you can stand out. The black-robed cultivator snorted coldly and activated his spiritual power. The spiritual chi in the void boiled and condensed into a giant black palm. It slammed towards Chu Kuangren with a majestic force. Supreme technique, heaven-shrouding palm. The black palm covered the sky. Before Chu Kuangren could make a move, Lan Yu, who was beside him, snorted coldly and punched out. A beam of light exploded, piercing through the black palm and hitting the black-robed cultivator's body. The impact sent him flying and spitting out blood. The power of that punch shocked everyone. Lan Yu looked around coldly. You want to challenge my master? You're not fit to do so. Chu Kuangren blinked. Why did he feel that Lan Yu's words not only protected him, but also brought him a wave of hatred? Sure enough, everyone looked at Chu Kuangren with even more hostility. Chu Kuangren, you're crazy. Even a servant girl is so arrogant. You can imagine how arrogant Chu Kuangren is. No wonder he declared war on the world. The black-robed cultivator who was sent flying by Lan Yu's punch was shocked. He stared at Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu in disbelief. One punch? I can't even block one punch from his servant girl. How strong is Chu Kuangren? I'm afraid I'm not even an ant in his eyes. Thinking of this, the black-robed cultivator could not help but feel disheartened. At that moment, Chu Kuangren glanced at him. Perhaps it was because of the first impression. The black-robed cultivator felt that Chu Kuangren's gaze was full of indifference. To be more precise, it was more like he was ignoring him. Sure enough, Chu Kuangren only glanced at him once before looking away. Perhaps he just happened to pass by unintentionally. The black-robed cultivator could not help but feel sad. I've been cultivating hard for decades. I thought I was one of the best among the younger generation, but I'm not even an ant in your eyes. Chu Kuangren, what a madman. I've lost today. Chapter 34. That black-robed cultivator is a Taoist from the Iron Mountain sect. No matter what, the Iron Mountain sect is still an honorable orthodoxy. Yet now, our Taoist disciple can't even take a single punch from one of Chu Kuangren's servant girls. Look at him. I'm afraid his Taoist core has collapsed. There's no place for him in this era of great battles, let alone the Emperor's path. Chu Kuangren really is a madman. A Taoist challenged him, but he ignored him. Just a maid was enough to crush his Taoist core. What a sinister person. The crowd discussed among themselves. They looked at Chu Kuangren with fear in their eyes. Even Chu Kuangren was dumbfounded. He had only taken a glance at his opponent to make sure he was not dead. How did his opponent's Taoist core collapse and leave the arena in the blink of an eye? That Iron Mountain sect trash is useless. Let us, the Snow Dragon Trio, teach Chu Kuangren a lesson. At that moment, another 3 people walked out. All 3 of them wore white Taoist robes and held supreme weapons in their hands. Chu Kuangren raised an eyebrow. Was there an end to this? Did they really think that he was a clay figurine without any anger? Chu Kuangren reached out to stop Lan Yu, who was about to attack. Lan Yu, I'm the one they want to challenge. Let me handle this. Master, they're just 3 pieces of trash. Let me handle this. Lan Yu said bluntly. The faces of the 3 heroes of the Snow Dragon clan twitched in anger. B*TCH. Who are you calling trash? A lowly maid dares to spout nonsense. Do you think you can ignore us just because you defeated a piece of trash? You must be dreaming. The Snow Dragon Trio cursed. Chu Kuangren's eyes flashed coldly when he heard that. He had never scolded Lan Yu before. Yet these 3 pieces of trash dared to spout nonsense. It was unforgivable. Chu Kuangren was really angry now. Protecting the environment is everyone's responsibility. I'm more than happy to clean up trash. Chu Kuangren said calmly and took a step forward. B****, I'll let you know who the real trash is. The Snow Dragon Trio quickly made their moves. An almost identical Taoist rhyme emanated from the 3 of them. A large amount of spiritual power filled the void and shrouded the area. In an instant, the world changed. The temperature of the air plummeted, and large snowflakes began to fall from the sky. A cold chill swept across like a knife. This is the ice frost formation that the 3 of us have joined hands to cast. Even if you are an insightful emptiness realm cultivator, it will be difficult for you to escape from this formation. The eldest of the 3 heroes of the Snow Dragon clan said with a proud smile. Since they had just come to challenge Chu Kuangren, they naturally had some confidence in themselves. Not only were their cultivation levels not weak, but the formation that the 3 of them cast together was also incredibly powerful. Among the younger generation, there were not many who could break it. Chu Kuangren reached out and pinched a snowflake. The snowflakes were like knives. They cut his fingers and left a bloody mark. But the immortal body was effective, and the wound healed in an instant. I'm a little curious. Why do you guys want to challenge me? Is it just because of what I said before I entered the realm? Chu Kuangren asked. The second of the 3 heroes of the Snow Dragon clan sneered. Your words have spread throughout the world. Now that Guchanga was defeated by you, all the heavens chosen see you as a thorn in their side. Who doesn't want to defeat you? As long as we defeat you, our names will spread throughout the world. Which young man did not love fame? The Snow Dragon clan was no exception. And the best way to become famous was to step on others. Just like how Chu Kuangren could only become famous after defeating Guchanga. Otherwise, his words would not have been able to cause any waves. It was because he was famous that his words carried weight. Now the Snow Dragon clan planned to step on Chu Kuangren to become famous. I see. Chu Kuangren nodded. Then die. The Snow Dragon clan roared in unison. Within the formation, the power of the blizzard suddenly intensified. Snowflakes wrapped in a violent gale swept towards Chu Kuangren. The snowflakes were as sharp as knives, and an incomparably cold chill surged from all directions. At that moment, Chu Kuangren's eyes narrowed. 9 Heaven Sword Prison. He let out a soft roar. Surges of sword chi gushed out of his body. The sky was filled with snowflakes, and a moment of silence. The so-called Great Ice Formation was easily torn apart like a thin layer of gauze under the never-ending sword chi that was like a gale. Endless sword chi intertwined, and the 12 sword chi pillars sealed off all directions, forming a prison-like sword chi domain. How is this possible? What the hell is going on? Our formation was broken in an instant. The Snow Dragon clan's faces instantly turned pale. They knew that Chu Kuangren was very powerful, and they were no match for him alone. Otherwise, he would not have been able to defeat Gu Chang'e. That was why the three of them teamed up. Together with the formation, they thought that they could fight Chu Kuangren. They even thought that they could defeat Chu Kuangren. However, they did not expect to be wrong. Very wrong. In just an instant, the formation was broken, and they were trapped in Chu Kuangren's Taoist physique transformation. They were like fish on the chopping block. Trash, Chu Kuangren said calmly. Then he clenched his fist. The sword chi in the sword chi domain rushed towards the three of them. Their screams echoed in the air. In the blink of an eye, the Snow Dragon clan's bodies were pierced by dozens of sword chi. Their golden cores were shattered, their nascent souls were destroyed, and their vitality was gone. The three of them fell to the ground like a bloody cloth. The three of them were only at the level of an ordinary nascent soul realm cultivator. Even if they joined forces to cast the formation, they could only fight against an ordinary paradise realm cultivator. Even Gu Chang'e could deal with them easily. Not to mention Chu Kuangren, who had defeated Gu Chang'e with a single sword strike. He only needed to cast one Taoist physique transformation. No. A heart-wrenching scream came from the void. An old man rushed out and looked at the fallen Snow Dragon clan members with bloodshot eyes. He was the Snow Dragon clan's Taoist protector. When Chu Kuangren cast the 9 Heaven Sword prison, he had wanted to save them. However, he did not expect Chu Kuangren to act so quickly. He did not even have a chance to react. And the Snow Dragon clan members died in the blink of an eye. Chu Kuangren, I want you dead. The old man was enraged and his terrifying battle monarch aura instantly erupted. However, at that moment a soft grunt echoed in the void. The old man's body exploded in the void, turning into a cloud of blood mist. Everyone's faces turned pale at the sight. A battle monarch did not even last a second before he exploded into a cloud of blood mist with a grunt. What a terrifying power. Honorable. It's an honorable. And it's very likely an honorable. Legend has it that Chu Kuangren has a supreme Taoist physique. How could the Black Heaven sect not arrange a Taoist protector for him when he travels outside? This Taoist protector is definitely an honorable. At that moment, some people with ill intentions immediately gave up on the idea. Other than the strength that Chu Kuangren had displayed, they were more afraid of the honorable protector behind him. Chu Kuangren retracted his sword chi, looked around and said calmly, "If anyone else wants to challenge me, I'll gladly oblige. However, let me give you a piece of advice. Don't make a mistake." Chu Kuangren had killed the Snow Dragon clan today not only because they had insulted Lan Yu, but also to make an example out of them. Otherwise, if people came to challenge him every day, how could he live his life? Chapter 35. After killing the Snow Dragon trio, no one dared to act rashly anymore. They were even afraid of him. Chu Kuangren could easily kill the Snow Dragon trio, and had an honorable Taoist protector. As long as no sages appeared, Chu Kuangren could do whatever he wanted in the Azure Dragon domain. Amazing, amazing! Li Xingchen clapped his hands as he walked towards Chu Kuangren. Brother Chu, your strength is an eye-opener. Oh, aren't you afraid? Chu Kuangren asked. What's there to be afraid of? The Snow Dragon trio offended us first, so we killed them. When Li Xingchen mentioned the Snow Dragon trio, his tone was indifferent as if he did not care about them at all. In fact, the White Jade Hotel in White Cloud City also had some unknown resources. They would not be at a disadvantage against some honorable orthodoxies. If there's nothing else, I'll be taking my leave, Chu Kuangren said. Brother Chu, White Cloud City is nearby. My White Jade Hotel has some resources in White Cloud City. Why don't you stay at my place for a few days? Li Xingchen asked expectantly. Initially, he only came up to greet Chu Kuangren because he saw that his appearance and temperament were superior to his. Now that he knew who Chu Kuangren was, he wanted to make friends with him. He had a supreme Taoist physique, and the elder senior brother of the Black Heaven sect. Whether it was status or talent, he was the best in Firmament Star. White Jade Hotel. All right then. Chu Kuangren nodded. Since he was here to train, it did not matter where he went. Since White Cloud City was nearby, there was no harm in checking it out. He was also curious about the legendary honorable swordsman White Cloud. Brother Chu, let's go. Li Xingchen quickly led the way. Along the way, Li Xingchen introduced White Cloud City to Chu Kuangren about the local customs and power structure. That included the honorable swordsman White Cloud. Li Xingchen said that the honorable swordsman White Cloud had been in closed-door meditation for 60 years, and no one knew when he would come out. White Cloud City was now under the control of his 3 sons. Although White Cloud City was just a city, the area it occupied was extremely vast. It was comparable to some of the smaller countries. Therefore, there were many cultivator organizations in White Cloud City such as sects and clans. These organizations were all attached to the city hall. However, there was one place that was extremely special. It was so special that even the Castellan Palace could not manage it. That was the White Jade Tower that Li Xingchen belonged to. Soon, Chu Kuangren and Li Xingchen arrived at the White Jade Hotel. The first thing that came into view was a large cluster of buildings. Magnificent palaces, exquisite pavilions, rockeries, gardens, dance pavilions, and so on were all included in this complex of buildings. It was like a paradise on earth. Outside the main entrance of White Jade Tower, Chu Kuangren could not help but be amazed. The White Jade capital in the sky, and the 5 cities in the 12 towers. The immortal caressed my head, tying my hair and receiving longevity. Upon hearing that, Li Xingchen's eyes widened as he looked at Chu Kuangren in admiration. Brother Chu, your literary skills are amazing. You flatter me. Chu Kuangren said humbly. In any case, he was a serious liberal arts student in his previous life. Reciting a few lines of poetry to show off was not a problem. White Jade capital in the heavens, 12 buildings and 5 cities. Immortals caress my head. My hair is tied and I receive eternal life. What a good poem, good poem. Li Xingchen could not help but recite it twice. The more he recited, the smoother it became. The more he recited, the more he felt that this poem was tailor-made for Baiyulo. White Jade capital, was it not White Jade Tower? 12 buildings in 5 cities meant that there were many buildings in White Jade Tower. The immortal caressed my head. My hair is tied and I receive longevity. Immortal, immortal. At that thought, Li Xingchen could not help but glance at Chu Kuangren. His aura was ethereal, like that of an immortal. TSK, Brother Chu. Are you comparing yourself to an immortal? This aura is indeed extraordinary. Chu Kuangren did not know how much Li Xingchen had imagined, but he felt that Li Xingchen's gaze towards him had become friendlier and more respectful. White Jade Tower engaged in all kinds of services, restaurants, inns, gambling dens, and even brothels. It was the largest shopping center in White Cloud City. Inside, people came and went, and it was bustling with activity. Greetings, young master. Someone greeted Li Xingchen upon seeing him. Only then did Chu Kuangren know that he was the son of White Jade Tower's owner, the young master of White Jade Tower. Many people also noticed Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu. Not to mention that they were with Li Xingchen, the young master. Chu Kuangren's extraordinary aura was enough to attract many people. Who is this man? He's so extraordinary. Is he a friend of the young master? The young master is already the most famous handsome man in White Cloud City. But I can't believe there's someone even better looking than him. And that silver-haired lady, she's stunning too. This is much better than the people that the young master has brought before. The people around them were discussing. Everyone in White Cloud City knew that Li Xingchen loved to make friends with good-looking people. Moreover, he would bring back a few good-looking men and women from time to time, so everyone was already used to it. However, the Chu Kuangren that he brought back this time was too amazing. Compared to him, the people that Li Xingchen had brought back before were all mediocre. They were not even on the same level. Along the way, Li Xingchen brought Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu to a study room to meet the owner of White Jade Tower. He was a middle-aged man who looked to be in his 30s. He had a gentle and elegant temperament, and there was not much of an aura around him. He looked like a scholar. However, how could the owner of such a huge white jade tower be an ordinary scholar? Chu Kuangren could not help but use his eye of revelation to check him out. Li Yi, an honorable cultivator, an expert in calligraphy and painting. Chu Kuangren's heart skipped a beat. He was not an ordinary scholar after all. Good Lord, he was an honorable. Every honorable was at the pinnacle of the honorable realm. In the entire firmament star, they were considered the strongest. Father, these are my new friends. Li Xingchen introduced them. Li Yi looked up at Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu, and his eyes were filled with shock. The more he looked, the more shocked he became. With his high cultivation level, he could sense that Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu's bodies contained a terrifying Taoist rhyme. He was afraid that they were some kind of top-notch Taoist physique. Chu Kuangren, in particular, shocked him the most. It was his first time seeing that Taoist rhyme. May I know who you two are? I'm Chu Kuangren from the Black Heaven sect. Her name is Lan Yu. Greetings, senior. Chu Kuangren gave a fist salute. Chu Kuangren. Li Yi murmured, then chuckled. So you're the elder senior brother of the Black Heaven sect who declared war on the world. Chu Kuangren rubbed his nose, unable to deny it. Alright, his declaration of war on the world was confirmed. But thinking about it, it was quite cool. The Honorable in the Dark is your protector, right? Li Yi had also sensed the seventh forefather's presence. Yes. Li Yi did not say anything else. Li Xingchen, on the other hand, said excitedly. Today Brother Chu wrote a poem for the White Jade Hotel. The White Jade capital in the sky, the 5 cities in the 12 towers. What do you think? Li Ye's eyes lit up when he heard that. He clapped his hands and laughed. Good poem, good poem. I didn't expect you to give me such a big gift the moment you arrived at the White Jade Hotel. Thank you very much. Li Yi was an expert in calligraphy and painting. Although he was not an expert in poetry, he was still very fond of it. When he heard that poem, he immediately had a good impression of Chu Kuangren. I want to write this poem myself, frame it, and place it in the most eye-catching place of the White Jade Hotel for people to admire. Chapter 36. After Li Yi heard Chu Kuangren's poem, his impression of Chu Kuangren soared. In addition to Chu Kuangren's identity as the elder senior brother of Black Heaven sect, Li Yi immediately treated him as a VIP and asked Li Xingchen to treat him well. Li Xingchen had arranged the best and most luxurious guest rooms in the White Jade Hotel for Chu Kuangren and Zhao Ya. The level of luxury made Chu Kuangren wonder if he was staying in an emperor's palace. Brother Chu, I'll host a banquet tonight and introduce you to some of the young talents in White Cloud City. What do you say? Li Xingchen said excitedly. Sure. Chu Kuangren nodded. Soon, Li Xingchen went to make arrangements with great fanfare. Inside the luxurious room, Chu Kuangren was sorting out the loot from this treasure hunt. Looking at the dazzling treasures in his yin and yang ring, Chu Kuangren frowned. This is too messy. Medicinal pills, weapons, ancient books, and other treasures were piled up in one place. It was hard for Chu Kuangren, who had a slight OCD, to accept, so he could not help but organize them. Medicinal pills were placed together, weapons were placed together, and soulstones were piled up on one side. He was busy sorting them out. As there were too many treasures from Honorable Yuan Ling, Chu Kuangren spent almost an hour to finish. The fantasy roulette space is more convenient. Chu Kuangren thought. It was an inventory. As long as he did not take it out, the same type of prize would automatically be placed together. Although he was a little tired, Chu Kuangren could not help but smile when he saw the neatly arranged treasures. This treasure hunt is so worth it. Lan Yu, who was beside him, could not help but smile when she saw his happiness. Oh right, Lan Yu, this is for you. Chu Kuangren took out a white scepter. This scepter was the one that Lan Yu had her eyes on in the treasure vault. The scepter was pure white, and at its top was a gorgeous sun-like halo. It was engraved with Taoist runes. A thick aura of light emanated from it. This was a sage weapon. Lan Yu looked at the scepter, and could not help but show a hint of fondness in her eyes. However, she stopped and hesitated to take it. Upon seeing that, Chu Kuangren immediately stuffed it into her hand. Take it. I don't lack sage weapons, so this scepter is more useful to you. Sage artifacts were supreme to other cultivators. Even a sage orthodoxy might not have many sage artifacts. However, to Chu Kuangren, that was all. Of the few holy swords on Sword Mountain, he only took the Kungwu sword. Otherwise, with one in his left hand and one in his right hand, he could still toss the remaining swords around. He just kept this thought in his heart. Otherwise, if the Tao protector in the dark heard this, he might be so angry that he would kill this disciple who had profaned the holy sword on the spot. Thank you, young master. Lan Yu did not decline anymore, and carefully examined the scepter. The scepter trembled slightly, and emitted a sense of joy. It then turned into a ray of white light, and entered Lan Yu's body. The saint artifact had automatically recognized him as its master. Looks like this sage weapon really likes you. Chu Kuangren laughed. Lan Yu sensed it for a moment before some information appeared in her mind. This scepter is called the Scepter of Light. It was the weapon of a powerful being known as the Holy King of Light from 50,000 years ago. A sage ruler weapon. Chu Kuangren was a little surprised. Just like sage techniques, sage weapons were divided into different grades. Normal sage weapons, great sage weapons, and sage ruler weapons. The few holy swords in the Black Heaven sect were just normal sage weapons. It was just a word's difference, but the difference between the two was worlds apart. It used to be a sage ruler weapon, but after a great battle, the Scepter of Light was damaged. Now it's just a normal sage weapon. What kind of great battle could destroy a sage ruler weapon? Lan Yu frowned and said, "That great battle was too terrifying. I can't even bear the images. There are only some blurry scenes, but it seems like there were many sages fighting each other." When she said that, not only Chu Kuangren but even the seventh forefather in the dark was shocked. What kind of existence was a sage? It was a supreme existence that reigned over billions of living beings. Even an honorable supreme would have to bow before a sage. Yet now, Lan Yu said that she saw countless sages, and they were fighting each other. This matter was too shocking. Chu Kuangren vaguely felt that he had come into contact with the countless secrets of this world. Interesting. Chu Kuangren smiled and stopped thinking about it. The current him was not yet qualified to know such secrets. Night. Cloudian Mooncatcher Terrace. This was one of the tallest pavilions in Cloudian. At night, the moon was the most beautiful there, hence the name Mooncatcher Terrace. The Mooncatcher Terrace was also where Li Xingqian hosted his banquet. Tonight, the Mooncatcher Terrace was filled with guests. All of them were young talents that Li Xingqian had invited, and there were many sky prides among them. Li Xingqian said that he wanted to introduce someone to us today. I wonder who it is that's worth his effort. A young man said curiously. He's not always like this. He'll make friends with any good-looking cultivator. I'm sure it's the same this time. Another young man chuckled. That's right. When I arrived, I heard some of the people in the inn talking about the two cultivators who came today. Everyone was shocked. A young man in a white robe curled his lips and said nonchalantly, "In this world of cultivation, what was the use of being good-looking? Without power, one would only be a plaything for others. Compared to that, I'm more interested in the Honorable Yuanling's treasure vault that shocked half of the Azure Dragon domain." That's right. I heard that the eldest son of the Honorable Swordsman went there too, but he returned empty-handed. Yilei, do you know anything? Everyone looked at the young man named Yilei. Yilei drank a glass of wine and shook his head. I didn't go there myself, so I'm not sure what happened in the vault. Did your father say anything to you? A young man asked. Yilei was Yi Baifeng's son. Not only was he extremely talented, he was also one of the top sky prides in the city hall. Yilei was silent for a while, then he shook his head. Seeing this, the crowd did not ask any further. Yilei drank his wine. No one knew what he was thinking. Actually, he knew a little. For example, the man and woman emptied Yuanling's treasure vault, and Yi Baifeng's efforts were in vain. When he returned to the city hall, he was hopping mad. However, these were the secrets of the city hall, so he could not tell anyone. He was curious. Exactly what sort of figure was able to completely plunder Yuanling's treasure vault under the noses of so many experts? At this time, Li Xingqian came to the Moon Pavilion. Behind him, there was a man and a woman. These two people walked under the moonlight. One was dressed in a white, wide-sleeved Kirin robe, with a jade crown on his head. His temperament was extraordinary, like an immortal from the heavens. The other was dressed in a blue and white robe, with silver hair draped over her shoulders. Her skin was smooth and jade-like, and her face was as delicate as a goddess who walked out from the moon. Walking beside the two of them, the handsome Li Xingqian, who was originally quite good-looking and famous, could only be reduced to a foil. On the moon pavilion, everyone stared dumbfoundedly at the man and woman walking over. Time seemed to have frozen at this moment. Chapter 37. I can't believe there's such a godly person in this world. Who are they? No wonder Li Xingqian wanted to hold a banquet for them. Li Xingqian is one of the most handsome men in this world, but compared to this man, he's nothing more than a foil. Every single move he makes seems to reveal a completely natural aura of the Tao. How extraordinary! Exactly what is the background of this person? When the crowd regained their senses, they looked at Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu in awe. The man and woman were both stunning beauties. Especially Chu Kuangren, who exuded an otherworldly aura. Even a sage could not compare to him. Let me introduce you. This is the elder senior brother of the Black Heaven sect, Chu Kuangren, and this is Lady Lan Yu. Li Xingqian smiled. Everyone fell into a strange silence when they heard this. Chu Kuangren. The Chu Kuangren who declared war on the world. Many people looked at him curiously, especially a few heaven's prides who believed themselves to be talented. Their eyes were filled with eagerness. It's him. He's the one who defeated Crown Prince Gu Chang'e. I didn't know he looked like this. Come Brother Chu, Lady Lan, please take a seat. Li Xingqian arranged a seat for the two, right next to the young master. The banquet began with musicians and dancers performing on stage. The atmosphere was harmonious as everyone chatted and toasted each other. Fellow Taoist Chu, come, let me toast you. One of the disciples raised his cup and toasted Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren returned the gesture with a smile, clinked his cup with the other and downed it in one gulp. The other laughed and downed his cup as well. Suddenly, Chu Kuangren felt a gaze on him. He looked over and saw a young man in a white robe. Noticing that Chu Kuangren had noticed him, the white-robed young man Yi Lei froze for a moment before he smiled and looked away. He thought to himself, it was them. The person who took Honorable Yuan Ling's treasure was Chu Kuangren. Yi Baifeng had asked someone to draw a portrait of the person who took the treasure after he returned, and Yi Lei had seen that portrait before. Although the person in the portrait was not even 1/10 as handsome as Chu Kuangren, they looked exactly the same. It was definitely him. This matter was too important, so he didn't dare to make it public. He could only pretend as if nothing had happened and wait until he returned to the mansion to inform the elders of the family. This person is a little strange. Chu Kuangren muttered to himself before he ignored it. Haha, rumor has it that Brother Chu has a supreme Taoist physique and is a peerless heaven's favorite in the world. I wonder if I can have the honor to meet you. A prodigy from an aristocratic family could not help but say. Everyone turned to look at Chu Kuangren. Evidently, they were also very curious about the other party's strength. However, before Chu Kuangren could say anything, Li Xingqian laughed and said, I'm hosting a banquet this time. It's boring to keep fighting and killing. I have a rare treasure here. After saying that, Li Xingqian took out a golden oval object from his storage ring. There were slits on its surface, as if it was formed by overlapping pieces. The object looked like a flower bud. The crowd looked at Li Xingqian, waiting for his explanation. Li Xingqian said, This is the spirit-testing golden lotus. It's a new toy that Master Windbeard recently came up with. It can test the quality of a cultivator's spiritual power. Let's use this to compete today. Cultivators cultivated their spiritual power, and the quality of their spiritual power varied according to the cultivator's cultivation technique, aptitude, and foundation. Among cultivators of the same cultivation realm, those with higher spiritual power would have a great advantage. Master Windbeard? All right, we'll do as you say, brotherly. Windbeard was the most famous master craftsman in White Cloud City. Every weapon he forged was a treasure that countless cultivators desired. It was said that even honorable supremes had asked him to forge weapons. How do I use this? Just infuse it with spiritual power, Li Xingqian said. Then I'll go first. One of the family sky prides made the first move. He raised his hand and struck the golden lotus. The golden lotus trembled for a moment before 3 petals spread out. However, the petals retracted in less than a second. 3 petals? Is this a good or bad result? This golden lotus has a total of 12 petals. Master Windbeard said that there are only a few people in the entire firmament star who can open all 12 petals at the same time. Li Xingqian said. The family sky prides who struck first were stunned. Out of the 12 petals, he only managed to open 3? Was his spiritual power of such a low quality? Again. That family sky prides was not satisfied and struck again. He exerted more force this time, but the result was the same. The rest of the crowd burst into laughter. Then they began to test it out curiously. One after another, they infused spiritual power into the golden lotus. I also have 3 petals? Tisk for petals. Is there really someone in this world who can open 12 petals? I've cultivated a supreme technique, and I can only open 5 petals. The crowd was shocked. This golden lotus had such a high requirement for spiritual power. The family sky prides who struck first felt a little better after seeing this. It seemed that everyone's standards were about the same. At that moment, a sword chi hit the golden lotus. The golden lotus trembled and slowly opened 6 petals. This was the best result in the entire tournament. The person who unleashed the sword chi was Yelei. He frowned slightly, obviously not satisfied with this result. He had a Taoist physique, cultivated a supreme technique, and consumed various treasures all year round, so his spiritual power was of a high quality. In his opinion, he should be able to open at least 7 petals. He did not expect there to be only 6. Let me try too, Li Xingqian said. He then unleashed a spiritual power that looked like starlight onto the golden lotus. The golden lotus trembled and opened 6 petals. As expected, it's still 6 petals. Li Xingqian shook his head and smiled. This item belonged to him, so it was only natural that he had tried it first. Tisk Brotherly has a starlight Taoist physique, but he only managed to open 6 petals. This golden lotus has such high requirements. It seems that no one in this world can open all 12 petals. I wonder how many Brother Chu and the others can open. The crowd's attention was on Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu, who had yet to make a move. Lan Yu was the first to strike, unleashing a ray of light fist strength. In an instant, the golden lotus trembled and opened 9 petals. This scene scared the hell out of everyone. Yelei and Li Xingqian's pupils shrunk. Both of them only had 6 petals in their Taoist physiques. However, Lan Yu could open 9 petals. The quality of her spiritual power was far beyond theirs. As the golden lotus closed up, Chu Kuangren unleashed a sword chi. In an instant, a dazzling golden light blossomed. The golden lotus petals opened one after another. 12 petals, it was a beautiful sight. When the golden lotus had fully opened, waves of fragrance floated in the air. It's all open. What kind of spiritual power is this? Oh my God, there's actually someone in this world who can fully open this golden lotus. Brother Chu is indeed a supreme Taoist physique. The crowd looked at Chu Kuangren in awe. There were also some who felt dejected. They could only open 3 or 4 petals, but Chu Kuangren could fully open the golden lotus. The difference was too big. I can't believe there's such a big difference between us. Yelei gripped his wineglass so hard that his knuckles turned white. A hint of jealousy flashed across his eyes. With a crack, the glass shattered and the wine spilled all over the floor. Chapter 38. The 12 petals of the golden lotus bloomed, releasing an exotic fragrance. After a while, the golden lotus slowly closed up. Everyone looked at Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu and could not help but marvel at them. These two were the best sky prides in the world. Thinking of this, everyone could not help but sigh. God was so unfair. Not only did he give them stunning looks, but he also gave them unparalleled cultivation talents. Comparing oneself to others was infuriating. Everyone looked at the delicacies in front of them and felt that it was tasteless. It was obvious that they were all shocked. I almost forgot to mention that the White Jade Hotel has recently brewed a new batch of wine. I'll bring it out for everyone to try. Li Xingchen suddenly laughed. He sensed that something was wrong and was trying to ease the atmosphere. Soon, with his efforts, everyone regained their vitality. After a round of toasting, the banquet was finally over. The next morning, Chu Kuangren woke up from his cultivation. As usual, he summoned the fantasy roulette and started the lottery. It was a steal reward, 100 top-tier soul stones. It was almost the entire net worth of an ordinary cultivator. Chu Kuangren did not even look at it. He threw it into the mountain of soul stones in his yin and yang ring, and began his boring day. After leaving the room, Li Xingchen invited him to have breakfast. During that time, he saw a group of people gathered in the hall. It was as if they were watching something. When he walked closer, he saw that they were all looking at the words on the wall. The White Jade Capital in the sky, 12 towers and 5 cities. The immortals touch my head. My hair is tied and I receive eternal life. What a good poem. Isn't the White Jade Capital referring to the White Jade Tower? With the beauty of the White Jade Tower, it could be considered a paradise on earth. Wait, look at the signature below. It's Chu Kuangren. This poem was written by Chu Kuangren. Is it the Chu Kuangren who declared war on the world? This person has such literary talent. Everyone was discussing. In their opinion, Chu Kuangren was arrogant and arrogant. He entered the world to declare war on the world, so he was probably the kind of arrogant person with no literary talent. However, this poem was majestic and magnificent, expressing the beauty of the White Jade Hotel. It was so brilliant that it was hard to associate it with Chu Kuangren. For a moment, everyone was shocked and emotional. He really framed it. Chu Kuangren glanced at the words on the wall and walked away. After that, under Li Xingchen's guidance, Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu toured around White Cloud City. When Chu Kuangren returned to the White Jade Hotel, an old butler came over with an invitation and handed it to Chu Kuangren. Master Chu, this is an invitation from the city hall. They would like to invite you to a banquet tomorrow. Oh, the people of White Cloud City are quite friendly. Chu Kuangren smiled as he accepted the invitation. He had just held a banquet last night, and today someone came to invite him again. All right. He wanted to pay a visit, but the White Cloud's honorable swordsman had been in isolation for a long time, so the chances of meeting him were slim. People were coming and going in the city lord residence. Outside the door, an old man was looking around. When he saw the man and woman walking over, a glint flashed in the old man's eyes, and he chuckled as he walked up to them. Young Master Chu, Miss Lan, please come in. Uncle, you deliberately waited for us here. Yeah. A strange look flashed in Chu Kuangren's eyes. His eye of revelation allowed him to read a person's information. And in his eyes, this old man was a battle monarch. For a battle monarch to greet him outside, did the city lord residents really have a lot of money? Or did they have some ulterior motive? Chu Kuangren vaguely felt that there was something fishy going on, but he could not think of any benefits the city lord residents would gain from harming him. After entering the city lord residence, the banquet was already prepared. In the main hall, 3 men were sizing up Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu. These 3 men were Yi Baifeng and his brothers. I've long heard that the Black Heaven sect's lead disciple is a rare peerless sky pride with the potential of a young emperor. Now that I've met you, you're indeed extraordinary. Yi Baifeng laughed out loud. Senior, you're too kind. Chu Kuangren smiled. Oh right, 2 days ago, Honorable Yuan Ling's treasury appeared. Did you go in and explore it? Did you find anything? At that moment, Yi Baifeng changed the topic and asked. But Chu Kuangren did not blush, nor did his heart skip a beat. Instead, he showed a regretful expression. Although I did go in, I found nothing. Hearing this, Yi Baifeng's forehead twitched. Found nothing? You've emptied the entire treasury. And you still say you found nothing? How shameless can you be? It can't be. You're so talented. Could it be that you really did not find anything? Yi Baifeng said with a fake smile. I really didn't. Chu Kuangren shook his head and smiled helplessly. At that moment, Yi Baifeng's face was a little gloomy, and his tone was cold. My friend, I'll ask again, did you find anything or not? If Chu Kuangren did not speak, he had already guessed that this was a trap. He just did not know how Yi Baifeng knew that he had taken everything from Yuan Ling's treasury. You already know the answer. Why ask again? Chu Kuangren said calmly. My friend, if that's the case, then I'll be frank. The Yi family wants the primordial purple haze, and we're willing to exchange it with 1,000,000 top-tier soulstones. As long as you agree, you'll be our honored guest. What do you think? After that, Yi Baifeng stared at Chu Kuangren. I think you're out of your mind. Chu Kuangren sneered. 1,000,000 soulstones for a primordial purple haze. Not to mention the mountain of soulstones in his yin and yang ring. Was this primordial purple haze worth 1,000,000 soulstones? People would fight for a treasure like this even if it cost 1,000,000 soulstones. How dare you? How dare you insult me? You're asking for death. Facing the crowd's questions and curses, Chu Kuangren remained calm. The second master of the Yi family also spoke. My friend, this is the Yi family. If you don't agree, don't blame us for taking action. Chu Kuangren smirked. You can try. Cut the crap, do it. Let's kill him here and get the primordial purple haze first. The temptation of the primordial purple haze was too great. It was so great that some of them were blinded by their greed and rushed out without caring about the Black Heaven sect behind Chu Kuangren. Several different spiritual powers and Taoist rhymes erupted and locked onto Chu Kuangren. The weakest among them was still in the paradise realm. Meanwhile, the old man who welcomed Chu Kuangren and Yi Baifeng also raised his hand to grab Chu Kuangren's head. Humph. A soft grunt was accompanied by a burst of honorable poise. The few cultivators who rushed towards Chu Kuangren were instantly blasted into clouds of blood mist. In the void, the seventh forefather slowly walked out. A terrifying honorable poise spread out unscrupulously. That's an honorable. His protector is an honorable. The entire city hall was shrouded in the honorable poise. Countless cultivators trembled and looked at the seventh forefather in fear. It was also Chu Kuangren's first time seeing the seventh forefather in person. Although he was old and his body was a little hunched, his terrifying honorable poise was still enough to shock the world. Chu Kuangren subconsciously used the eye of revelation to look at the seventh forefather's information, and his expression changed slightly. Chapter 39. Heavenly Decay 5. Naturally, Chu Kuangren had heard of it before. This was the stage where a cultivator's cultivation base could no longer advance, and it was the stage where they would gradually reach the end of their lives. Even supreme paragons and peerless great sages feared the Deva Decay 5. But the seventh patriarch was currently in the midst of it. Once he used up too much spiritual power, his death would be hastened. Chu Kuangren was anxious, but he maintained his composure and said, I'll remember what the city hall has done today. Senior, let's go. Chu Kuangren stood up and left. Young man, aren't you going to kill these people? The seventh forefather's tone was cold and murderous. An honorable aura filled the air, and no one dared to act rashly. Chu Kuangren rolled his eyes in his mind. Kill my ass. Don't you have any idea what's going on? Killing these small fries might not be a problem, but the city hall still has the supreme honorable swordsman Yi Wuhan. If he wants to attack, how long can you last? Chu Kuangren thought, but he did not show any fear. The White Cloud's honorable swordsman is as famous as my honorable teacher. I'll give him face today, but I'll let him explain to my honorable teacher in the future. Elder Senior Brother Black Heaven, your kindness is admirable. At that moment, an indifferent voice rang out from the void. What followed was an overwhelming and terrifying Taoist rhyme. This Taoist rhyme engulfed the entire city lord's residence and overpowered the seventh forefather. A middle-aged man in a white robe slowly walked through the air. What I was afraid of really came true. Chu Kuangren's eyes flashed with seriousness. Father. City Hall Master. Everyone was overjoyed and relieved. The person who came was the White Cloud's honorable swordsman Yi Wuhan, the undefeated legend of White Cloud City. Haha, activate the Endless Heaven Lock formation. At that moment, Yi Baifeng shouted. Suddenly, several beams of light appeared in the city hall, and lines of mysterious runes intertwined in the void, forming a giant light barrier. In an instant, Chu Kuangren and the others lost contact with the outside world. Chu Kuangren, do you really think we didn't prepare anything? The endless heaven lock formation is extremely sturdy, even an honorable can't break it. Now you and your protector won't be able to leave. Yi Baifeng laughed. Chu Kuangren ignored him and looked at Yi Wuheng instead. He smiled and said, I heard that the White Cloud's honorable swordsman has been in closed-door meditation for 60 years. I didn't expect him to show up today for a junior like me. It's an honor. What? You want to snatch the primordial violet chi as well? Honorable swordsman White Cloud could not deny it. I've been stuck in the supreme honorable state for 2,000 years. If I don't make a breakthrough soon, I'm afraid I'll end up like the protector beside you, entering the Deva decay stage 5 and dying. He was a supreme honorable, and even without the insightful eye, he could tell that the seventh ancestor's current condition was the Deva's 5 decrepit phenomena that everyone feared. Whether it was his desire to become a saint, or his fear of the Deva's decay of 5, all of these factors drove the White Cloud's honorable swordsman to set his eyes on the primordial violet vapor. Even if it meant offending the Black Heaven sect, they would not hesitate to do so. Moreover, if he could successfully break through to the sage stage, he would be able to elevate the Yi clan into a sage orthodoxy. By then, would he still need to be afraid of the Black Heaven sect? If you want to hurt my sect's genius, you'll have to get past me first. The seventh forefather took a step forward and stood in front of Chu Kuangren. The old honorable's aura erupted without restraint. Even if he had to exhaust his remaining lifespan, he would not hesitate. You're old, you can't stop me, Honorable Swordsman White Cloud said. His tone was calm and indifferent, as if he had everything under control. He was an honorable supreme, and no one doubted his ability. It's just death. The spiritual power within the seventh forefather's body erupted in a frenzy, forming a terrifying storm between the heavens and the earth. Even the void was shaking violently. A surge of Taoist rhymes surrounded the seventh forefather like countless tiny swords, filled with a chilling sharpness. Following that, a long sword appeared in front of the seventh forefather. Chu Kuangren recognized that sword. It was one of the sacred swords of the Black Heaven Sword Mountain, called the Green Vine. He did not expect the seventh forefather to bring this sacred sword with him when he descended into the realm. The oppressive aura of a supreme martial artist swept across the void like a raging tide, causing countless cultivators to tremble in fear. Although the honorable was old, his aura still remained. I recognize that sword of yours. 3,000 years ago, the seventh sect leader of the Black Heaven sect, Xianfeng, used this sword to dominate the Azure Dragon domain. You're the Black Heaven sect's seventh forefather, Xianfeng. The White Cloud's honorable swordsman's eyes suddenly lit up. At least you have a good eye, the seventh forefather said calmly. It's a pity that you've already stepped into the heavens decay stage. If I could fight you at your peak, that would be the happiest thing in my life. The White Cloud's honorable swordsman looked regretful. However, Chu Kuangren snorted in disdain when he heard that. You make it sound like a righteous honorable swordsman, but at the end of the day, you're just a coward who covets the opportunities of fortune of the younger generation, and doesn't dare to break through with your own strength. You're on par with my master. That's an insult to my master. The White Cloud's honorable swordsman's face darkened as anger began to brew within him. Junior, what do you know? Do you know what it's like for a cultivator to be unable to break through to the next level? Do you know what it's like to waste time and lifespan? Not everyone has a supreme Taoist physique like you. There are too many mediocre people in this world. If you don't look for extraordinary methods, how can you walk far on the path of cultivation and see the supreme Tao? The White Cloud's honorable swordsman's tone fluctuated. He sounded a little angry. Chu Kuangren applauded and praised. This is the first time I've seen someone talk about killing people and robbing them of their treasures in such a refreshing way, as expected of an honorable. I'm impressed. While they were talking, Chu Kuangren was already closing in on the seventh forefather. The White Cloud's honorable swordsman did not suspect anything, nor did he take Chu Kuangren's sarcasm to heart. However, he soon noticed something strange. Chu Kuangren took out a pill that glowed with a golden light, and gave it to the seventh forefather, asking him to swallow it quickly. Not good. The White Cloud's honorable swordsman's expression changed. He made his move and slashed out with a sword ray. The silver-white sword ray emitted a terrifying Taoist rhyme that covered the sky. In the face of this honorable swordsman, Chu Kuangren, who had yet to grow up, seemed extremely small. At that moment, the seventh forefather stood in front of Chu Kuangren and stabbed out with the azure vine sword. A domineering purple sword chi surged out. The two sword rays collided and two different Taoist rhymes intertwined and fought. The void shook violently as if it was about to collapse. The terrifying impact forced Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu to take a step back. In the sky, the seventh forefather was surrounded by rays of light, and a majestic vitality emerged. His dry and cracked skin began to fill up, his white hair fell off and was replaced by black hair. It was like a withered tree coming back to life. The seventh forefather's domineering aura also became stronger and stronger. Everyone looked at the scene in disbelief. An old man who had entered the heavenly deterioration stage 5 and was about to die had suddenly regained his vitality. What was going on? Some people also noticed Chu Kuangren's actions. What did you feed him? A hostage asked. Chu Kuangren replied calmly, "It's just a life extension pill." Just now, he suddenly remembered that he had obtained a Starlight Grade life extension pill during the 10 consecutive draws. He had kept that pill since he had no use for it. Chapter 40. The seventh forefather floated in midair, his mystical Taoist rhymes and dense spiritual energy constantly spreading. The terrifying aura of an Honorable Supreme shook the city hall. The Honorable Supreme, who was old and frail and had entered heavenly deterioration stage 5, had now returned to his peak. The scene before them shocked everyone. Could a single life extension pill have such an effect? The crowd could not help but wonder. The prolonging life pill wasn't a very rare pill, but they had never seen a prolonging life pill that could be effective on a supreme being. Not to mention that it could restore a honorable supreme to his peak. Haha, it's been a long time since I've felt this relaxed. The seventh forefather laughed out loud. He no longer looked like his old self. His black hair cascaded down like a waterfall, his eyebrows were sharp, and his eyes were bright. He looked like a middle-aged man in his 40s. He looked at Honorable Swordsman White Cloud and smiled. "Didn't you say you wanted to fight me at my peak? Now I shall fulfill your wish." Honorable Swordsman White Cloud's expression was extremely ugly. He never thought that Chu Kuangren would have such a terrifying life extension pill that could restore the seventh forefather to his peak in such a short time. Even he did not have the confidence to defeat the seventh forefather at his peak. Come! The seventh forefather had already made his move. The azure vine sword slashed, and a mighty purple sword ray wrapped with an incomparably domineering Honorable Supreme Taoist rhyme surged towards Honorable Swordsman White Cloud. The battle between the two Honorable Swordsman Supremes was extremely terrifying. The void shook and shattered as the vast honorable aura enveloped the entire area, crazily crashing into the endless heaven-lock formation. "Big brother, what do we do now?" The crowd looked at Yi Baifeng. Yi Baifeng looked at Chu Kuangren, his expression changing. Chu Kuangren looked at him playfully, not at all aware that he was surrounded and in danger. "Think carefully, if you really touch me and Honorable Swordsman White Cloud loses, you will all die. On the contrary, if Honorable Swordsman White Cloud wins, it won't be too late to deal with me then. Let's watch the battle first. This is a battle between Honorable Supremes. An ordinary cultivator might not even get to see it in their lifetime." Chu Kuangren smiled, as if he was sincerely giving advice to the crowd. Many people felt that his words made sense. But Yi Baifeng's eyes flashed with a hint of ruthlessness. "Do you think I'm stupid? Even if we don't touch you now, you won't let us go even if you win. It's better to finish you off now." "Oh, so you're not stupid after all." Chu Kuangren was surprised. Damn you. Let's see how long you can be so arrogant." Yi Baifeng was furious, and ordered the people around him to act quickly. In an instant, a group of cultivators channeled their spiritual energies and charged towards Chu Kuangren and his companion. Among these cultivators, the weakest was at the perfected Golden Core realm. There were quite a number of nascent Soul Realm cultivators, and there were even a few Paradise Realm cultivators. These people attacked at the same time, and their power was vast. They believed that it was enough to deal with Chu Kuangren. Even if he was a prodigy, no matter what, he was only a fledgling of the younger generation. Without a protector, there was nothing to fear. But the next scene made Yi Baifeng realize that he was wrong. A terrifying surge of sword qi erupted from Chu Kuangren's body. Like an endless hurricane, it swept in all directions. The sword qi interweaved and formed 12 long pillars of sword qi, sealing off heaven and earth. The sword of the heavenly Tao and the sword qi green lotus of the 36th stage also appeared. All three phenomenons of the Tao body were released. The Kunwu's sacred sword was already in his hand. Heaven-rending drawing technique. Chu Kuangren slashed out with his sword, and a boundless offensive Taoist rhyme instantly erupted, and a terrifying purple sword ray bloomed. All the attacking cultivators were enveloped by this Taoist rhyme. In the next moment, the sword ray whizzed past their bodies. Bang, 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 clouds of bloody mist exploded in the air. Whether it was a golden core, nascent soul, or paradise realm cultivator, there was no difference in front of this sword. They all turned into souls under the sword. How is this possible? Yi Baifeng's pupils shrunk, and his face was filled with shock and disbelief. At the back of the crowd, Yi Lei, who had witnessed this sword with his own eyes, was so scared that his face turned pale. His body went limp, and he collapsed to the ground. Impossible, this is impossible. How can he be this strong? He could comfort himself that the quality of his opponent's spiritual energy far surpassed his. Spiritual energy quality did not mean everything, and it did not mean combat strength. But now Chu Kuangren had crushed all his hopes and delusions with this sword. Even in terms of combat strength, Chu Kuangren was far above him. After that sword, blood and flesh splattered everywhere. With the Descendant Self sword in his hand, Chu Kuangren activated his 3 Taoist physique transformations. He looked like a deity, and his aura was ethereal, just like a sword immortal. Anyone who saw Chu Kuangren would feel that he should be standing high up in the clouds, a celestial being who was untainted by the mortal world. He should not be standing on this bloody battlefield that was filled with broken limbs all around. In reality, these broken limbs were all caused by this deity. He had the looks of a deity, and he had the skills of an Asura. Go go! Yi Baifeng roared. One by one, the cultivators charged towards Chu Kuangren in a frenzy. However, Chu Kuangren had the Descendant Self sword in his hand. Every slash was a top-notch attack, and no one could dodge it. One slash after another. Corpses fell one after another, and soon the courtyard was filled with corpses. The surrounding buildings were already overwhelmed by the battle, and the luxurious city hall was gradually reduced to ruins. How can his combat strength be so terrifying? His cultivation level is only at the nascent soul realm. How can he be like this? How can there be such a nascent soul in this world? Even if it's a supreme Taoist physique, it's still unbelievable. Everyone looked at Chu Kuangren with fear in their eyes. Many were afraid. They were afraid of the terrifying heaven-slaying sword-drawing technique. They were afraid of Chu Kuangren, who had the looks of a deity, but had the skills of an Asura. In the sky, the 7th forefather was fighting with the White Cloud's honorable swordsman. His spiritual thoughts sensed that Chu Kuangren was slaughtering his enemies, and he breathed a sigh of relief. White Cloud's honorable swordsman, do you see that? That's the Black Heaven sect's supreme sky pride. He's not someone that you and your bunch of trash can handle. The 7th forefather laughed out loud. The White Cloud's honorable swordsman was shocked as well. He knew that Chu Kuangren had a supreme Taoist physique, but he did not expect him to be this strong. He was only in the nascent soul realm, but he could easily kill Paradise Realm cultivators who were in the same realm, or even higher. It was too terrifying. Hey, are you kidding me? Is this all you've got? Those who don't know better would think that I'm chopping vegetables. Chu Kuangren looked at Yi Baifeng and the others and said in a disdainful tone. Behind him, Lan Yu, who was wearing a gorgeous silver armor and holding the scepter of light, easily killed a nascent soul realm cultivator. Hearing Chu Kuangren's words, she also chimed in. Master is right. At least they have an honorable supreme. How can they be so weak? Hearing the two of them echoing each other, Yi Baifeng and his brothers were so angry that their chests were heaving up and down. Their eyes were bloodshot, and they could not wait to cut the two of them into pieces. But even they had to admit it. The combat strength of these two people was too terrifying. Moreover, Chu Kuangren's combat strength was beyond their expectations, but he had a supreme Taoist physique, and rumor had it that he had forged the 3 great supreme foundation levels. But what was up with that woman? Her Taoist rhymes were boundless, and her combat skills were outstanding. The scepter in her hand was also a sage weapon, and it was very compatible with her. Where did this terrifying sky pride come from? Chapter 41. Kill. Yi Baifeng attacked. His battle monarch aura was fully unleashed. He was an existence that was 2 realms higher than Chu Kuangren, and his sword slashed towards Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren squinted his eyes. He took a step forward and stood in front of Lan Yu. The heaven-slaying sword-drawing technique was instantly unleashed. This was a sage ruler technique that was extremely powerful and offensive. The 2 sword rays collided with a loud bang, setting off a terrifying shockwave that spread outwards like a tidal wave. He can actually block my attack. Yi Baifeng was shocked. A battle monarch like him was blocked by a nascent soul? At that moment, a figure joined the battle. It was Yi Baifeng's younger brother, the second master of the Yi family. Let's see how you're going to block me. The second master grinned. While Chu Kuangren was blocking Yi Baifeng, he used his battle monarch cultivation level to sneak an attack. If word of this got out, both of them would be humiliated. 2 battle monarchs had to work together against a nascent soul, and they even had to use a sneak attack. What the hell? I've been watching out for you. Chu Kuangren's expression turned cold. His left hand formed a seal, and majestic earth chi surged. It was the sage ruler technique, human mountain stamp. Boom. A godly ancient mountain appeared out of thin air, crashing towards the second master. What? The second master's expression changed. He slammed his palms on the godly mountain, only to feel a horrifying surge of Taoist rhymes and boundless energy surging towards him. His body flew out uncontrollably. This made the spectators even more shocked. Even 2 battle monarchs could not do anything to Chu Kuangren? Just how strong was this guy? The older cultivators were shocked and amazed, while the younger ones were dumbfounded. They were all the same age. How could he be so terrifying? This Taoist rhyme, it's another sage ruler technique. I've never heard of a sage ruler technique in the Black Heaven sect. Such techniques are hard to find even in the firmament star. How could he have so many? Yi Baifeng was confused. But now was not the time to pursue this matter. Second brother, third brother, let's attack together. Yi Baifeng roared. The auras of the 3 battle monarchs from the Yi family erupted at the same time, and locked onto Chu Kuangren. 3 different Taoist rhymes filled the void. 3 battle monarchs teaming up to deal with a junior. You guys sure are proud of yourselves. Chu Kuangren sneered. Those who achieve great things don't bother with trifles. Once I kill you and obtain the primordial violet chi, who will remember this matter when a sage emerges from my Yi clan? Yi Baifeng laughed coldly. I'll give it a try, Chu Kuangren said calmly. At this moment, the spiritual energy in his body was pushed to the extreme. His skin became faintly translucent. That's the golden jade body. Yi Baifeng exclaimed in surprise, recognizing this type of top-notch Taoist physique. I didn't expect you to have the golden jade body. Peerless foundation, golden jade body, and sage techniques. No wonder your spiritual power is so strong. Everyone's gazes immediately turned solemn. They could not help but admit that at this moment, even if the 3 of them were to join forces, they would still have to give it their all to defeat Chu Kuangren. Battle King Domain. Yi Baifeng shouted softly. Suddenly, a surge of Taoist rhyme emanated from his body, turning into an invisible force field domain that enveloped Chu Kuangren within. He felt that within this domain, his spiritual power was being suppressed. Oh, a domain technique that only battle monarchs can use? Chu Kuangren was slightly surprised. The Yi clan's second elder and third elder had also activated their domains. The 3 Battle King domains locked onto Chu Kuangren. Under the layers of suppression, Chu Kuangren's spiritual power was finally suppressed, weakening it by about 30%. This shocked the 3 of them. The Battle King domain was a technique that only battle monarchs could use. Once this domain was activated, even a Paradise Realm cultivator would not be able to fight back. However, the three of them together could only weaken Chu Kuangren's spiritual power by about 30%. This was too terrifying. Heaven-slaying sword-drawing technique. With his spiritual power suppressed, Chu Kuangren was the first to attack. A terrifying sword ray shot out. Empyrean sword-drawing technique. Wave-stacking sword art's final form. Empyrean sword-drawing technique. Yi Baifeng and the other two then unleashed their supreme techniques. Although it was not a sage ruler technique, their cultivation level was much higher than Chu Kuangren's. With the addition of the Battle King domain, the three of them managed to block the sword ray. Under the impact of the sword ray, the ground around them shook violently. The city hall that was already damaged was now in ruins. The surrounding spectators did not dare to get too close. Even a Paradise Realm cultivator could only watch this battle. That terrifying Taoist rhyme, the majestic sword ray, and the Battle King domain that would completely suppress Paradise Realm cultivators made it impossible for them to help. At that moment, ripples appeared in the void. A silver-white spear with a majestic Taoist rhyme shot across the sky like a meteor towards the Yi clan's third elder. Not good. The Yi clan's third elder's hair stood on end. He quickly turned around and channeled his spiritual power, slamming his palm towards the spear without hesitation. With a loud bang, the spear exploded. The horrifying shockwave instantly enveloped the Yi clan's third elder's right arm, instantly turning it into a bloody mist. With a scream, the Yi clan's third elder was sent flying. Third elder. Yi Baifeng's eyes were bloodshot. D***. The Yi clan's second elder looked up at the silver-white armored Lan Yu, who was flapping her wings. That spear was her attack. Well done, Lan Yu. Chu Kuangren laughed. The Yi clan's third elder was heavily injured. His Battle King domain had disappeared, and the suppression on Chu Kuangren was reduced. His combat strength increased. Lan Yu's lips curled upwards upon receiving the praise. She then channeled her spiritual power again, and formed another white spear. There were mysterious runes circulating on the spear, and waves of terrifying Taoist rhymes were terrifying. That was her strongest technique, Judgment of Light. However, with her current strength, she could only use it twice at most. However, with the support of the Scepter of Light, the number of times she could use it had increased greatly. She estimated that she could use it 7 or 8 more times. What's going on with these two people? How can their combat strength be so terrifying? Everyone in the city hall was dumbfounded. 2 nascent soul realm cultivators fighting 3 battle monarchs was already unbelievable, let alone 2 nascent soul realm cultivators suppressing 3 battle monarchs. Everything that Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu had done so far was challenging the mental endurance of the crowd. They felt like their world had been turned upside down. Just as Lan Yu was about to form another spear and attack, a burst of Taoist rhymes erupted from afar. Following that, a spiritual palm chi flew across the sky and landed on Lan Yu's body. The spear was instantly shattered. Lan Yu was sent flying, and a few blood-stained feathers fell to the ground. Chu Kuangren's expression changed. Lan Yu. At that moment, Lan Yu fell from the sky and landed on the ground. The armor on her body glimmered. Although she was severely injured, her life was not in danger. She looked into the distance and said solemnly, "Honorable. Oh, that armor on you is quite extraordinary. It must be a top-notch supreme weapon to be able to block my attack." A bright and beautiful voice rang out, and a beautiful woman wearing a long red dress walked through the air. Chapter 42. Mother. It's Mother. She has also come out of seclusion. Yi Baifeng and the other 2 were overjoyed. Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren walked in front of Lan Yu and shielded her behind him. Taoist runes swirled in his eyes as he looked at the beautiful lady before him. Li Ruolin, the Tao partner of the White Cloud's honorable swordsman. Her cultivation base is at the advanced stage of the honorable realm. She cultivates the supreme technique, Flaming Red Lotus technique. The feedback from the Eye of Revelation made Chu Kuangren's expression turn serious. People only knew of the White Cloud City's honorable swordsman White Cloud. However, very few people knew that the White Cloud's honorable swordsman's Tao companion was also an honorable who had hidden her abilities well, and she was even a late-stage honorable. He was just a step away from becoming a supreme being. Li Ruolin glanced at the third master of the Yi family, who had lost an arm. Her face immediately darkened. How dare you hurt my son? All of you deserve to die. The domineering honorable domineering aura crushed towards Chu Kuangren and his companion. Chu Kuangren pushed his spiritual power to the limit. The three great phenomenons of the Tao body were all activated. Only then was he able to withstand the might of a venerable. This is just pressure. If she were to attack, her strength would be 1,000 times stronger. Venerable ones are indeed not to be underestimated. Chu Kuangren thought. High up in the sky, the seventh forefather was engaged in a fierce battle with honorable swordsman White Cloud. Seeing that Chu Kuangren was in danger, his eyes turned red. He waved the azure vine sword in his hand frantically, trying to break free from honorable swordsman White Cloud. However, the White Cloud's honorable swordsman only entangled him without killing him. Black Heaven's seventh forefather, once my wife has killed Chu Kuangren, we shall join forces and send you back to be his protector. Haha, once I obtain the primordial violet haze and become a sage in the future, even if your Black Heaven sect is a sage orthodoxy, what can you do to me? The White Cloud's honorable swordsman laughed heartily and arrogantly. Agitated by his words, the seventh ancestor's Tao heart was in a mess. However, just as the situation was slowly developing in the White Cloud's honorable swordsman's favor, Chu Kuangren suddenly made a move. He slowly opened his palm, and a purple aura rose from the center of his palm. Mysterious Taoist rhymes filled the air, and waves of Taoist sounds echoed in the sky. Is this the primordial violet qi you want? Chu Kuangren chuckled. Everyone stopped what they were doing and stared unblinkingly at the primordial violet qi. Their eyes were filled with incomparable fervor and desire. That was the foundation of becoming a saint. Even honorable supremes would flock to them like ducks. Now this opportunity was right in front of all of them. No one knew why Chu Kuangren took out the primordial purple haze at this time, but that did not hinder their desire for it. That's right. Quick, hand it over. Chu Kuangren, hand it over and we'll spare your life. Yi Baifeng and the rest said excitedly. The primordial purple haze is the foundation of becoming a sage, but do you guys know that it has another function? Chu Kuangren chuckled. When Li Ruolin saw the primordial violet vapor, she could not help but be enchanted by the Taoist rhyme contained within it. She only regained her senses after a while. Not good. Upon hearing Chu Kuangren's words, Li Ruolin's expression changed. Following that, a terrifying Taoist rhyme erupted as she unleashed a palm attack. The Taoist rhymes intertwined on the palm energy, like a delicate red lotus. It contained the terrifying might of a venerable. Even the strongest battle king would be killed in an instant. But it was too late. Chu Kuangren clenched his fist and crushed the purple haze. A boundless Taoist rhyme erupted, and an extremely violent spiritual qi surrounded his body like a terrifying whirlwind. The palm energy landed on the whirlwind and exploded. Amidst the smoke and dust, no one could see what happened to Chu Kuangren, but they could feel a terrifying Taoist rhyme that was constantly rising. What's going on? This Taoist rhyme, what did he do? When the smoke and dust dissipated, Chu Kuangren appeared. At this time, his body was surrounded by waves of mysterious light, and an extremely powerful Taoist rhyme circulated around his body. His cultivation level was also rising. Nascent Soul Realm, Paradise Realm, Battle Monarch Realm. What did you do? In the sky, Honorable Swordsman White Cloud roared. The veins on his forehead were bulging, and his eyes were bloodshot. It was obvious that this Honorable Supreme was furious. An unprecedented rage. And within this rage, there was also a sense of sorrow. It was not just him. Li Ruolin, Yi Baifeng, and the others also looked at Chu Kuangren with extreme anger, as if he had done something unforgivable. He used the purple haze as a supplement to temporarily increase his cultivation level and absorbed it. The seventh forefather could not help but feel a little regretful. As everyone knew, the primordial purple haze was the foundation of becoming a sage. As long as one studied it well, They could even become a sage without ascension. Apart from that, the primordial purple haze had another use, which was to greatly increase a cultivator's cultivation level for a short period of time. However, compared to the first use, the second use was very insignificant, and basically no one would do it. That would be a waste of God's gift. Compared to becoming a sage, what was a temporary increase in cultivation level? As time passed, everyone subconsciously forgot that the primordial purple haze had such a use. Now Chu Kuangren reminded them. He used the primordial purple haze right in front of them. Be asterisk starred. Be asterisk starred. This is the foundation of becoming a sage. If used properly, one can become a sage. But he used it to forcefully increase his cultivation level for a short period of time. And this cultivation level is not going to last long either. What a waste of God's gift. Everyone was so angry that their eyes were bloodshot, and they could not help but curse. The foundation of becoming a sage was wasted right in front of them, and that had an unprecedented impact on their Taoist core. However, Chu Kuangren did not care about their reactions at that moment. He was now immersed in the large amount of enlightenment brought by the primordial purple haze. All he felt was Taoist rhymes reverberating in his ears, and all sorts of mystical things emerged. This mystical feeling was even more intense than the sage ruler technique that he had created previously. Not only that, but the spiritual power within his body was also increasing rapidly with the help of the purple haze. Soon, it reached the peak of the battle monarch realm. The three Taoist physique transformations had become much stronger. Be asterisk starred, I'll burn you into ashes. Li Ruolan's expression was extremely ugly when the primordial purple haze was destroyed. In a rage, Li Ruolan channeled her spiritual power, and a terrifying Taoist rhyme surged out, forming a red lotus that was intertwined with flames. That attack was the power of an honorable. Chu Kuangren held the descendant self-sword and swung it. The heaven-slaying sword-drawing technique was unleashed. A terrifying sword ray that was many times stronger than before enveloped the entire area. The red lotus looked exceptionally small in front of the sword ray. In the blink of an eye, the red lotus was shattered. Li Ruolan was blasted away by that attack. How is this possible? Yi Baifeng and the others were shocked. Even if he used the primordial purple haze, how could Chu Kuangren, who was now at the peak of the battle monarch realm, send Li Ruolan flying with a single attack? The difference between a battle monarch and an honorable was like heaven and earth. I feel that you're too weak now. No, I should say that I'm too strong now. Chu Kuangren looked at Li Ruolan and said. Previously, he felt that the power of an honorable was boundless. But now it was nothing more than that. But I feel that I can become even stronger. Chu Kuangren's lips curled upwards. The primordial purple haze's effect had not been fully unleashed yet. Li Ruolan was so shocked that her face turned pale. If he could already send her flying with a single attack, then wouldn't he be able to crush her easily if he became even stronger? Chapter 43. The power of the primordial violet qi filled every corner of his body. Chu Kuangren only felt that the current him could easily shatter the heavens and earth and control the world. This feeling was a little intoxicating to him. At this moment, his cultivation base rose again. Venerable realm. He had a supreme Taoist physique, and he had 3 supreme foundations. He cultivated sage techniques and sage ruler techniques. He was a venerable one, and he was too terrifying. Just as he used the primordial violet qi to raise his cultivation level to the martial highness realm, an incomparably vast and terrifying pressure that was even stronger than that of a supreme martial highness surged like a tsunami, crashing into the heavens and the earth. The so-called sky-ceiling formation began to crack under the terrifying pressure, before it suddenly collapsed with a loud bang. A vast pressure swept out in all directions. The entire White Cloud City was shocked. All the cultivators, including the supremacies, had a drastic change of expression as they looked in the direction of the city lord's mansion in fear. This pressure? What's going on with this Taoist rhyme? A supreme honorable is only SOO. Could it be that Honorable Swordsman White Cloud is about to face his ascension? No, that's not right. This Taoist rhyme doesn't belong to Honorable Swordsman White Cloud. It's an unfamiliar Taoist rhyme. Which mighty being has descended upon us? Oh my God, this pressure is way too terrifying. All the cultivators were shocked. Most of the cultivators below the nascent soul realm prostrated themselves on the ground and shivered in fear due to this vast pressure. Only those above the nascent soul realm could remain standing, and only those in the void interpretation realm could retain the ability to move. Many cultivators were secretly dissatisfied. Which supreme being was this? Didn't he know how to restrain his aura? Was he so arrogant? Unfortunately, they didn't know. The owner of this pressure was just a nascent soul cultivator a few minutes ago. Chu Kuangren /S domineering aura shook the entire White Cloud City. Many strong cultivators had also rushed to the city hall, but all they saw was a pile of ruins. Someone attacked the city lord mansion? Who is so daring? Is it the owner of this pressure? Look at that young man. How is this possible? The first thing everyone did when they arrived at the city hall was to look for the source of the domineering aura, and the first thing they noticed was Chu Kuangren. A youth and a supreme honorable being? This made everyone feel incredulous. This was especially true for Li Yi, who had rushed over from White Jade Tower. When they met yesterday, he was still a nascent soul cultivator. How did he become a supreme sovereign today? Was he dreaming? Li Yi felt like the whole world was surreal. Go Baifeng, go quickly. Li Ruolin shouted at Yi Baifeng and the rest. This kind of pressure, even she, a venerable, felt terrified, not to mention Yi Baifeng and the rest. If they continued to stay here, only death awaited them. Leave. Where do you think you're going? Chu Kuangren said calmly. Then, a vast amount of sword qi erupted from between the heavens and the earth, intertwining into 12 towering sword qi pillars that shrouded the entire city hall like a prison. Dao Physique Phenomenon 9 Heaven Sword Prison. Once the sword prison appeared, there was no way to escape within the 9 heavens and 10 earths. I'll fight you to the death. Li Ruolin gritted her teeth as crimson flames erupted from her body and formed a gigantic red lotus around her. She didn't hesitate to push her spiritual energy to the limit, risking damaging her own foundation to forcefully erupt with power comparable to a supreme martial artist. The gigantic red lotus was beautiful and magnificent. As it charged towards Chu Kuangren, its terrifying energy almost distorted the void wherever it went. If that's all you've got, then be obedient and be suppressed, Chu Kuangren said indifferently. Then the entire White Cloud City began to shake violently. Under the White Cloud City, majestic earth qi surged out and formed an ancient godly mountain that was thousands of feet tall in front of Chu Kuangren. The godly mountain fell, and the flaming red lotus was instantly crushed. Li Ruolin let out a scream as she was killed in an instant. A powerful cultivator that was close to becoming an honorable had fallen in front of everyone. My beloved wife! The White Cloud's honorable swordsman roared in grief. His eyes were bloodshot as he charged towards Chu Kuangren, unleashing the full power of an honorable supreme. With a slash of his sword, a silvery white sword ray that covered the sky descended. Only a few people in the entire Azure Dragon domain could withstand this slash. Let me show you what a real sword is. Chu Kuangren stepped on the 36th tier green lotus, the supreme sword of the heavens above his head. He possessed the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart, and coupled with the sudden increase in his cultivation level, he was confident that he could defeat even the supreme honorable swordsman in terms of sword Dao. As the two great transformations unfolded, all the swords in the city trembled. Countless longswords flew out of their scabbards and stabbed into the ground. The swords were bent, as if they were worshipping a human being. At that moment, tens of thousands of swords were worshipping him. All the swordsmen stared at the spectacle in front of them, dumbfounded. Meanwhile, in the sky above the city hall, facing the enraged White Cloud's honorable swordsman's attack, Chu Kuangren wielded the Descendant Self-Sword and unleashed a slash of his own. Heaven-slaying sword-drawing technique. The purple sword ray gushed out like a tidal wave. All the cultivators who witnessed this sword ray, even an honorable like Li Yi, felt their scalp tingle and their bodies shivered. This was the purest and most terrifying sword attack. The two sword rays collided in midair, and two surges of Taoist rhymes intersected in the void. A terrifying impact shook the heavens and the earth. The clouds above the white cloud city tumbled and rolled back continuously. Under this terrifying impact, a huge hole was torn open in the clouds. The sword ray was like a tidal wave, shattering the other sword ray. The white cloud's honorable swordsman's expression changed drastically. He tried to block the sword ray with his sword, but the huge impact made him spit out blood. His body was smashed into the ground like a cannonball, forming a huge crater. As an honorable supreme, he was supposed to be majestic, but at that moment, he was half kneeling in the crater with blood dripping from the corner of his mouth. He looked extremely pathetic. A hint of regret appeared in his eyes. If he knew this would happen, he would not have coveted Chu Kuangren's primordial purple haze. That way, his beloved wife would not have died, and the city hall would not have fallen to such a state. However, everything was set in stone. There were all kinds of remedies in this world. But there was no cure for regret. My next attack will kill you. Chu Kuangren's voice echoed in the sky. The terrifying Taoist rhymes continued to rise from his body. The 3 transformations of the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart were activated, and the golden jade body was activated to its limit. The descendant self sword was trembling. On the blade, the purple sword ray was ready to be unleashed. The white cloud's honorable swordsman knew that he might not be able to block this attack, so he yelled, "Chu Kuangren has Yuanling's treasury." His words made everyone's expression change. Honorable Yuanling's treasury was with Chu Kuangren. Heh, are you planning to kill me before I can rest in peace? Such petty tricks are not worth mentioning. I'd like to see who in this world dares to covet my things. Chu Kuangren laughed and swung his sword. The surging sword ray engulfed the white cloud's honorable swordsman. Even the cultivators from the city hall behind him were engulfed in it. There were no screams. Even if there were, it would have been covered by the sword ray that destroyed everything and turned everything into ashes. After that attack, the White Cloud City Hall no longer existed. Chu Kuangren landed on the ground. The effects of the primordial purple haze were rapidly fading after he unleashed that attack, and his cultivation level continued to drop. Chu Kuangren felt a little regretful. After all, it's a forceful increase in cultivation level. It's not as practical as self-cultivation. Not far away, the strong cultivators who had rushed over were stunned by the scene. The invincible legend of the White Cloud City had fallen in front of them just like that. For a moment, they felt that it was unrealistic. It was not until the sky was filled with red clouds and red rain began to fall, drenching everyone's hearts with a chill that they regained their senses. An honorable supreme has fallen, and red rain falls from the sky. Chapter 44. Chu Kuangren looked at the sky full of red rain and chuckled. Legend has it that when a great being falls, there will be a phenomenon. Seems like it's true. According to ancient legends, when the last emperor of this world fell, the Taoist bell would ring and rain would fall for 3 days straight. Compared to that, what was this little shower of red rain? Not long after, the red rain stopped and the sun broke through the dark clouds. Chu Kuangren stood on top of the ruins. The sunlight shone on him like a layer of golden gauze. The crowd was still in shock from Chu Kuangren's power, and did not dare to approach him. Their eyes flickered and no one knew what they were thinking. They were confused. How could Chu Kuangren kill Honorable Swordsman White Cloud? Why did his current cultivation level look so weak? Also, did Yuanling's treasury really belong to him? There were too many questions. Before they could get an answer, even if Chu Kuangren was on the verge of death, they dared not act recklessly. Lan Yu, check if there are any fish that escaped the net. Don't leave a single one alive, kill them all. I don't need revenge. Chu Kuangren said calmly. Yes, master. Lan Yu nodded. Well, it was true. The two of them managed to find the survivors. Don't kill me, don't kill me. Yi Lei, who was covered in blood, was dragged out from the ruins. He knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. He did not look like the Yi family's sky pride at all. Brother Chu, please spare my life. If you let me go, I'll do anything for you, Yi Lei said. You're Li Xingchen's friend? Chu Kuangren looked at him, and suddenly remembered that he had met Yi Lei at the banquet that Li Xingchen held for him. A glimmer of hope appeared in Yi Lei's eyes. He quickly nodded. That's right, Li Xingchen and I are good friends. I hope Brother Chu will spare my life for his sake. I will definitely repay you in the future. Chu Kuangren could not help but shake his head. I think it's funny. I killed your entire family and you still want to repay me? Because of their greed, they offended Brother Chu. Their deaths are not to be regretted. Yi Lei's face was filled with flattery. His bloody face made him look like a clown. He hated Chu Kuangren so much that he wanted nothing more than to hack him into 1,000 pieces. However, for the sake of his life, he had no choice but to put on a harmless front, even if it meant slandering his birth parents. As long as he was alive, he would have the hope of revenge. Yo, not bad. You're really the best. Chu Kuangren chuckled. With a slash of the long sword in his hand, a razor-sharp sword Qi instantly sliced off his opponent's head. As for Yi Lei, he still couldn't understand why the other party wouldn't let him go even after he had lowered his voice and acted impeccably. Indeed, Chu Kuangren did not know if Yi Lei was acting or if he was really scared out of his wits. However, as long as there was even the slightest possibility that Yi Lei would seek revenge, Chu Kuangren would not give himself any trouble, even if the other party posed no threat to him. All right, it's time to collect the spoils of war. Chu Kuangren said. In this battle he had used the primordial purple haze, which was the foundation of becoming a sage. Even if he did not intend to use it to become a sage, it was still the primordial purple haze, which was extremely precious. Now it was gone. How could he not take back some of the spoils of war from the city hall? This battle was too horrifying. Most of the cultivators in the city hall did not even manage to preserve their corpses, leaving only their yin and yang rings behind. Some of the rings were even damaged and could not be used. However, after a rough search, Chu Kuangren still managed to find a lot of good stuff. After all, the city governor's mansion was overseen by a supreme honorable being. No matter how shabby it was, how shabby could it be? After cleaning up the battlefield, Chu Kuangren was about to leave. At that moment, a middle-aged cultivator could no longer hold it in and stopped him. Honorable Swordsman White Cloud said that the Yuanling's treasury is with you? Chu Kuangren nodded. Yes, do you want it? Chu Kuangren's question made the middle-aged cultivator speechless. He did want it. He wanted it very much so that he could not think about it anymore. However, the scene of Chu Kuangren killing Honorable Swordsman White Cloud was deeply engraved in everyone's heart, so none of them dared to act rashly. Chu Kuangren glanced at the others and said, The treasury is with me. If you want it, come and take it. However, I don't think I need to tell you what happened to Honorable Swordsman White Cloud. That must be because you used some kind of technique to forcefully increase your strength. That technique is not something that can be used easily. I don't believe you can use it again, one of the cultivators said. They realized it. At that moment, Chu Kuangren no longer had that majestic domineering aura. That's right, I used the primordial purple haze. Chu Kuangren said frankly. As soon as he said that, everyone's expression changed. The primordial purple haze, the foundation of becoming a sage. You used the primordial purple haze to forcefully increase your cultivation level and kill Honorable Swordsman White Cloud. What a waste. D*MN. If I had the primordial purple haze, I could have become a sage within 100 years. Why didn't you give it to me? The strong cultivators at the scene were having a mental breakdown. Some screamed at the sky, some sighed, and some looked at Chu Kuangren as if he was their father's murderer. The primordial purple haze had a huge impact on everyone. This was the result that Chu Kuangren wanted. Many strong cultivators knew that there was a sage's opportunity of fortune in the Honorable Yuanling's treasury. Many honorables had their eyes on this sage's opportunity of fortune. After all, the fact that he had the Honorable Yuanling's treasury with him had been exposed. Now that he had taken the initiative to confess that the sage's opportunity of fortune was gone, not only would it not bring him any trouble, it would also reduce the interest of the top cultivators in the treasury, which would save him a lot of trouble. The remaining cultivators would also be afraid of the Black Heaven sect behind him, and would not dare to make a move. At that thought, Chu Kuangren could not help but praise himself for being quick-witted. Even if there were still strong cultivators who had designs on his treasury, he still had the seventh forefather by his side. That was a supreme being at the peak of his prime. I can't believe that the great honorable swordsman White Cloud would covet the opportunity of fortune of a junior. What's more, he was killed instead. For an honorable supreme to end up like this, it's really sad. Li Yi lamented as he looked at the ruins of the city hall. Everyone in this world is driven by profit. Even the almighty sages are no exception, let alone honorables. Chu Kuangren said. He did not think that honorable swordsman White Cloud's actions were unforgivable. After all, humans die in pursuit of wealth just like birds die in pursuit of food. Unfortunately, they were the ones who wanted to harm him. Then there was no room for negotiation. Who cared if he was an honorable or a sage? He would just have to kill him. Everyone in this world is driven by profit. Haha, Junior Chu, you're really talented in writing, and your words are so eloquent. Li Yi exclaimed. Even he wanted to befriend Chu Kuangren, let alone Li Xingqian. I'm just expressing my feelings. Chu Kuangren smiled helplessly and left. This time, no one stopped him. Looking at his departing figure, the crowd felt as if they were watching a young great emperor rise with unstoppable momentum. After this battle, Chu Kuangren's name will once again shock the world. A cultivator exclaimed. The death of an honorable supreme could not be hidden. Chapter 45. Red rain fell from the sky. An honorable supreme has fallen. Who is it? Who is it? Who killed him? In the entire White Cloud City, only City Lord Yi Wuhan is a supreme venerable. Could it be that the supreme venerable who died was him? Everyone had seen the red rain. There was no way to hide it. Everyone was immersed in the shock of the death of an honorable. Chu Kuangren walked on the street and listened to everyone's words. His face was expressionless, but his heart was filled with helplessness. Being famous was like being fat. This time, his name was going to shake the world again. He was already so handsome, so famous and so talented. Was it really good for other cultivators to look at him like this? Chu Kuangren was depressed. Soon he returned to the White Jade Hotel. Brother Chu, do you know what that domineering aura was? What happened in the city lord's residence? Li Xingqian quickly asked. He knew that Chu Kuangren was attending a banquet in the city lord's residence. Chu Kuangren nodded. Nothing big happened. I just killed an honorable. Li Xingqian and the others were shocked. They suspected that there was something wrong with their ears. Even a Jizun had died, and this was still not a big deal? Wait a minute. Li Xingqian noticed the key point in Chu Kuangren's words. I just killed an honorable. Brother Chu, did you kill an honorable? The others curled their lips and thought that Li Xingqian's words were hilarious. How could Chu Kuangren kill an honorable? He was just a nascent soul cultivator. Yes. Chu Kuangren nodded and did not deny it. The others were even more shocked. This guy really had the guts to admit it. A supreme sky pride is indeed a supreme sky pride. No one can match his shamelessness. He can even brag without a script, someone muttered. Li Xingqian laughed. Brother Chu, you really know how to joke. By the way, Brother Li Yilei is dead. I killed him too. Let me tell you this. Chu Kuangren did not care whether the others believed him or not. He calmly announced Yilei's death. Upon hearing that, Li Xingqian's expression changed slightly. He stared at Chu Kuangren for a while before sighing. That's a shame. That guy was one of the best cultivator geniuses. I can't believe he fell halfway through. There was regret on his face, but there was no sadness. Chu Kuangren was surprised. He's not your friend? Not really. It's just that we're all from the White Cloud City. We'll occasionally meet each other, but that's all there is to it. Oh, I see. Chu Kuangren finally understood. By the way, Brother Chu, why did you kill him? It's a long story. You can ask your father about it. I still have something to do, so I'll head back to my room to rest first, Chu Kuangren said. In the wing room, Chu Kuangren took out a few healing pills and handed them to Lan Yu. You've been injured in this battle. Go back and rest well. I still have the residual effects of the primordial violet qi in my body. I also need to go into seclusion for a few days to digest it. Young master, do you need me to protect you? It's fine. The 7th patriarch is here. With the 7th patriarch around, Chu Kuangren was not worried that he would be disturbed. Although the 7th patriarch had disappeared after the death of Honorable Swordsman White Cloud, Chu Kuangren knew that the 7th patriarch was secretly protecting him. While Chu Kuangren was in seclusion, the news of him possessing the Yuanling treasury and killing Honorable Swordsman White Cloud gradually spread. In an instant, the whole White Cloud city was in an uproar. So Brother Chu didn't lie to me. Li Xingqian, who had just asked his father about the whole story, was shocked and in disbelief. At the same time, he had doubts in his heart. They were all cultivators of the same generation. So why was Brother Chu so outstanding? With the White Cloud City as the epicenter, the news of Honorable Swordsman White Cloud's death continued to spread throughout the Azure Dragon domain, and even the entire firmament star. In the Sage Orthodoxy Jiang Valley, when the tough-looking prodigy from Jiang Valley heard this news, he immediately stood up from his chair. Is this for real? It's true. The White Cloud City is raining red, and Honorable Swordsman White Cloud is indeed dead. Moreover, when Chu Kuangren killed Honorable Swordsman White Cloud, many cultivators in White Cloud City witnessed it. How is that possible? Rumor has it that he used the primordial purple haze to forcefully increase his cultivation level. Even so, it's still shocking enough. The purple-robed young man felt a little better. So it was because of the purple haze. But no matter what, it was true that Chu Kuangren had killed Honorable Swordsman White Cloud. In this aspect, he was no longer comparable to Chu Kuangren. I didn't expect Brother Chu to be so capable. I admit my defeat. One day, I'll definitely spar with you. The school of White Lotus Maiden Sage suddenly spoke. Many cultivators felt sour in their hearts when they heard this. The White Lotus Maiden Sage was one of the top sky prides in the world. Not only was she beautiful, she was also the dream lover of many male cultivators. No one had ever seen her treat a man with such respect before. Who would have thought that she would speak up for Chu Kuangren, and even openly admit that she wanted to spar with Chu Kuangren? Her actions broke the hearts of many male cultivators. Humph, you relied on external items to kill Honorable Swordsman White Cloud, not your own strength. What's there to be proud of? The Royal Azure Dynasty's third prince also spoke up. Chu Kuangren had injured his elder brother, and he already disliked him, so of course, he had to mock him. However, the Black Heaven sect could not sit still after hearing that. If you're so capable, why don't you go kill one of them? Chu Kuangren's #1 fan, the Black Heaven sect's Taoist Nangong Huang said. Our elder senior brother's talent is unparalleled. That's why he could absorb the primordial purple haze and kill an honorable supreme. If it was someone else, like a certain prince, even 10 primordial purple haze wouldn't be able to do it. His #2 fan Murong Xian also mocked him. Faced with the sarcasm, the Royal Azure Dynasty's princes all spoke up. A war of words broke out between the two sage orthodoxies. It's a fact that he killed an honorable supreme. Our elder senior brother is unparalleled in this world. Whether you guys admit it or not, it's a fact. Oh my, unparalleled? How arrogant. If I didn't know better, I would have thought that your elder senior brother had become an emperor. Our elder senior brother is a young emperor. It's only a matter of time before he becomes an emperor. Unlike your so-called crown prince, who couldn't even withstand a single sword attack from our elder senior brother. He's hopeless in this lifetime. Bullsh *T. The crown prince defeated 6 sage orthodoxies in a row. All the Taoists couldn't even withstand a single punch from the crown prince. He's the one who's unparalleled. Humph, is your crown prince powerful? That's because I was in closed-door meditation when he arrived. Otherwise, I could have stopped his path of invincibility even without Chu Kuangren. Yuan Hong of the Dharma sect said. Now that I've broken through to the paradise realm, if you have the guts, let the Royal Azure Dynasty's crown prince fight me again. Feng Tian of the Five Ways sect said. The war of words between the Royal Azure Dynasty and the Black Heaven sect gradually spread to the entire Azure Dragon domain. All the sky prides from the other sage orthodoxies joined in. In the end, the Royal Azure Dynasty issued an imperial edict. The gist of it was as follows. Princess Linglong of the Royal Azure Dynasty was looking for a Taoist partner. Hence, a martial arts contest was held. The winner was the Royal Azure Dynasty's fiancé. The moment the imperial edict was announced, the world was in an uproar. After all, the Royal Azure Dynasty was a sage orthodoxy. If one could become their son-in-law, it would be a great boon. Resources, techniques, connections, what else could they not have? This was the perfect opportunity for them to reach the heavens in a single bound. Moreover, it was rumored that Princess Linglong of the Royal Azure Dynasty was one of the most beautiful women in the world. Her beauty was comparable to the White Lotus Maiden Sage. As long as he married her, he would be able to enjoy endless happiness with women. Beauties, power, wealth, resources, they had everything. In an instant, all the cultivators in the world rushed to the Royal Azure Dynasty. Chapter 46. White Jade Hotel, Wing Room. Chu Kuangren opened his eyes and woke up from his closed-door meditation. His cultivation base had improved tremendously. He had gone from early-stage nascent soul realm to complete, and he was only half a step away from the paradise realm. This primordial purple haze is indeed extraordinary. Its residual effects have allowed my cultivation base to break through several small realms. Moreover, the Taoist insights I gained from absorbing the primordial purple haze will be of great help to my future cultivation. Chu Kuangren smiled in satisfaction. Although his cultivation base was at the complete nascent soul realm, his Taoist insights had far exceeded his realm, and he was not any weaker than a battle monarch. No, he might even be comparable to an honorable. The primordial purple haze was too powerful. Young lad, looks like you've gained quite a lot. The seventh forefather's voice came from the void. Then the void rippled, and the seventh forefather stepped out of it. He was dressed in a white robe, and he had sharp eyebrows and bright eyes. He looked like a handsome middle-aged man. Greetings, seventh forefather. Chu Kuangren stood up and saluted. He only learned of the seventh forefather's identity when he was in the city hall. He was the seventh sect leader of the Black Heaven sect, and his seniority was much higher than his honorable teachers. He would never have thought that the seventh forefather would be his protector, especially when he was in the heavenly deterioration stage 5 state. Thinking of this, he could not help but feel a sense of respect. You're welcome. I should be the one bowing to you. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be where I am now. The seventh forefather's face was filled with gratitude, and he bowed to Chu Kuangren. An honorable supreme bowing to a junior. If such a thing were to spread, many people would be scared to death. Chu Kuangren quickly dodged. Seventh forefather, aren't you making things difficult for me? Who do you think you are? How would I dare accept such a bow from you? This bow is worth it, the seventh forefather said solemnly. Cultivators who had not entered the heavenly deterioration stage 5 would never understand the pain. The feeling of watching oneself fall from the peak to the point of death, without being able to stop it, was too torturous. Chu Kuangren's life extension pill had not only allowed him to return to his peak and extend his lifespan, but it had also given him another chance to pursue the supreme Taoist path. The seventh forefather swore in his heart that from now on, his life belonged to Chu Kuangren. Even if he had to die, he would protect Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren was helpless. When the seventh forefather asked about the origin of that life extension pill, Chu Kuangren could only say that he found it in the Yuanling Supreme Treasure's vault. After all, it was impossible for the seventh forefather to know everything about the vault. Walking out of the room, Chu Kuangren saw Lan Yu leaning against a tree. She wore a blue and white dress, and her silver hair draped over her shoulders. She was extremely beautiful, and the surrounding scenery paled in comparison to her. This young lady has been guarding here ever since she recovered from her injuries 2 days ago. She hasn't left my side at all. She's a good lady, the seventh forefather said to Chu Kuangren telepathically. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly. She's a good girl. Young master. Sensing that Chu Kuangren had exited his closed-door meditation, Lan Yu went up to greet him. How are your injuries? I'm fine now. Yes, thank you for your hard work these past 2 days. Chu Kuangren reached out and plucked a fallen leaf from her head and said gently. Lan Yu felt her heartbeat quicken, and her heart palpitate. A blush quickly appeared on her cold and beautiful face, making her look even more beautiful. "No, it's all right." Cough cough. A cough came from the side. It was Li Xingqian. Lan Yu immediately reverted to her sacred and cold demeanor. Her eyes were as sharp as knives as she glared at him. For some reason, Li Xingqian suddenly shuddered. "Brother Li, I haven't seen you for a few days. How have you been?" Chu Kuangren smiled gently. "Brother Chu, you have no idea how chaotic the outside world has been while you were in closed-door meditation," Li Xingqian said excitedly. "Oh, how chaotic?" Chu Kuangren laughed. "What do you think? It's all because you killed Honorable Swordsman White Cloud." At this point, Li Xingqian could not help but feel shocked. When others came out to train, they would usually start with small tasks such as killing bandits, beasts, or participating in a few martial arts competitions. But Chu Kuangren killed an honorable supreme the moment he came out. If you're so powerful, why do you still need to train? Then Li Xingqian told Chu Kuangren about what happened in the past few days. Chu Kuangren was not surprised. On the surface, there were not many honorable supremes in the Azure Dragon domain. The death of one was a big deal. Not to mention that one died in the hands of a junior like him. It would be strange if the outside world did not cause a commotion. What surprised him was that this incident would cause a war of words between several sage orthodoxies. That was rare. There was also that martial arts competition. How could sage orthodoxies do something like that? By the way, Brother Chu, are you going to the martial arts competition? Li Xingqian asked. I'm not interested in Princess Linglong. Why would I go? Chu Kuangren shook his head and said bluntly. Li Xingqian was surprised. Princess Linglong is one of the most beautiful women in the world. Brother Chu, are you really not interested in her? Now that you mention it, a little. But no matter how beautiful she is, can she be prettier than my Lan Yu? Chu Kuangren laughed. Lan Yu, who was beside him, smiled. She was secretly delighted. Li Xingqian laughed. Miss Lan is the most beautiful woman in the world. Naturally, there are not many who can compare to her. However, Princess Linglong is not bad either. Rumor has it that she has the godly Taoist physique. Chu Kuangren was stunned. The godly Taoist physique that can greatly increase a cultivator's cultivation level and enter a state of enlightenment after their first night? That's right. Li Xingqian let out a smile that all men would understand. There were thousands of physiques in the world, and there were all kinds of strange ones. The godly Taoist physique was second only to the supreme Taoist physique. Moreover, this physique was a little special. The possessor of this physique would release a kind of godly essence during their first sexual intercourse. It had the magical effect of greatly increasing a cultivator's cultivation level, and even entering a state of enlightenment. Therefore, since ancient times, cultivators who possessed this physique, regardless of gender, were sought after by countless cultivators. Fortunately, Princess Linglong is the eldest princess of the Royal Azure Dynasty and has a powerful background. Otherwise, someone with a physique like hers would have long been abducted. Yes. Chu Kuangren nodded. This martial arts contest will gather Sky Prides from all over the world. I heard that Sky Prides from other domains will be attending as well. So it'll be very lively. I plan to leave in a few days. Brother Chu, are you really not going? Li Xingqian asked again. Chu Kuangren pondered for a while. Then I'll go. He was not going because of Princess Linglong, but because he was out on a journey to gain experience. Naturally, he wanted to see the world. Now that so many Sky Prides were heading towards the Royal Azure Dynasty, there was no better place for him to go than to see the world. Hee, Brother Chu, you're very strong. I'm sure you'll come out on top in this martial arts contest. Li Xingqian winked at Chu Kuangren and let out a smile that all men would understand. Chu Kuangren rolled his eyes. You're thinking too much. I'm only going to be curious about the Sky Prides. I have no intention of joining the contest. I understand. Li Xingqian chuckled. Chu Kuangren shook his head helplessly. He was too lazy to explain. 3 days later, Chu Kuangren and the others departed for the Royal Azure Dynasty. The Royal Azure Dynasty was 1,000,000 miles away from the White Cloud City. But there was a transportation tool in the firmament star called the fairy summoner boat. It only required a certain amount of soul stones to travel long distances. It was very convenient. Chapter 47. The capital city of the Royal Azure Dynasty. Unlike the other sage orthodoxies, the Royal Azure Dynasty was established in the form of a nation with a vast territory. As the capital city of a nation, it was even more prosperous than White Cloud City. There were all kinds of cultivation shops on the streets, and cultivators were everywhere. There were even a few Paradise Realm cultivators popping up from time to time. TSK, this capital city sure is bustling, Chu Kuangren said. I know, right? Boom, at that moment, a powerful energy wave erupted at the end of the street, and the crowd was stirred. Quick, there's a duel going on. Let's go check it out. There's going to be a good show again. There's an endless stream of sky prides coming to the capital city these past few days. It's said that two tigers cannot live on the same mountain. Now that these guys are gathered together, how can they not get into trouble? Many people immediately rushed to the end of the street. Li Xingchen dragged Chu Kuangren along to join in the fun. At the end of the street, on the rooftop of a tall building, two young men were confronting each other. Their powerful auras were unleashed without restraint. I didn't expect the Jiang Valley to join in the fun too. But if you want to marry the princess, you must be dreaming. The cultivator in white robes said coldly with a look of disdain. On the other side, the cultivator from the Jiang Valley, the young man with a tough face, immediately replied, It doesn't matter if I can marry the princess or not. As long as I'm here, the sacred lands of serene wisdom can forget about it. Bulsh *T. Bulsh *T. F *CK, do it if you have the guts. Come on, I'm not afraid of you. The two Taoists from the two great sage orthodoxies were like shrews on the rooftop, and after a round of cursing, they started fighting. Chu Kuangren and the others arrived at the scene. So it's Huayan from the sacred lands of serene wisdom and Lin Batian from the Jiang Valley. No wonder they started fighting, Li Xingchen said in realization. Chu Kuangren was puzzled. Why? Brother Chu, you may not know this, but the hatred between these two sage orthodoxies has been going on for a long time. Rumor has it that the ancestors of these two sage orthodoxies once fought over a woman. But after that, the woman refused to marry either of them. Not only did the two ancestors not give up, but it also became more and more intense. During the development of the orthodoxies, the two orthodoxies often fought each other for various reasons. There were a few times when a war of sage orthodoxies almost broke out. Li Xingchen said. Chu Kuangren was speechless. That's it. What kind of woman is so powerful that their ancestors were so infatuated with her? I don't know. Li Xingchen shook his head. What he knew was all hearsay, but Ziyang Valley and Spirit Illusion Holy Land had a long history of grievances. When the disciples of the two sides met, there would always be fights. On the tall building, the battle between the two young geniuses became more and more intense. The violent Taoist rhymes spread out, attracting many cultivators to watch. There were even some prodigies who had come to participate in the betrothal contest. The two orthodoxies are still the same. Childish. A young cultivator in white robes could not help but ridicule. Then he shifted his gaze and swept past the crowd. Suddenly he seemed to see someone, and his eyes revealed surprise. It's him. The person the young man saw was Chu Kuangren. There were many people in the crowd, but he noticed Chu Kuangren at first glance. Chu Kuangren's fairy-like appearance was even more attractive than the Sky Pride battles. Great, I finally get to see you today. The young man sneered. These days, Chu Kuangren's name had spread all over the world, and his portrait had naturally spread. The young man had seen him before, and he believed that he could not be wrong. There was only one person in this world with that kind of appearance and temperament. At that moment, Chu Kuangren, who was enjoying the battle, noticed that someone was spying on him, and it seemed that the person was hostile. What's going on? Chu Kuangren turned around and saw a young man walking towards him. While he was puzzled, the young man suddenly shouted, I am Fangtian from the Five Ways sect. I'm here to learn from Elder Senior Brother of the Black Heaven sect. His voice was so loud that everyone on the street heard it. Suddenly, the crowd was in an uproar. Even the sky prides from Jiang Valley and Serene Wisdom Holy Land, who were fighting, stopped and scanned the crowd. Elder senior brother of the Black Heaven sect, it's Chu Kuangren. Where is he? That Chu Kuangren who declared war on the world, he's here too. Haha, elder senior brother of the Black Heaven sect. Where is he? Quick, ask him to come out and fight me. Let me see what a supreme sky pride is like. F***ck me. That's a ruthless person who killed an honorable swordsman. He only managed to kill honorable swordsman White Cloud with the help of the primordial purple haze. In terms of cultivation base, honorable swordsman White Cloud could kill him with one finger. All the cultivators were shocked. Chu Kuangren's reputation was too big now. He was even comparable to some of the honorable supremes. Supreme Taoist physique, declaring war on the world, killing honorable supremes. Yuanling's treasury. Even the cultivators who did not pay attention to him would have heard of all of his deeds. Chu Kuangren could not help but twitch his mouth. Who is this person? Does he need to shout so loudly? And he dares to challenge me so easily? How childish. Chu Kuangren's appearance was outstanding. Almost as soon as Fang Tian shouted his name, the crowd quickly found him. At that moment, many people were amazed. Many of the female cultivators' eyes lit up. I can't believe there's such a good-looking person in this world. Oh my god, if I were Princess Linglong, I wouldn't have held this martial arts competition. I would have just married the Royal Azure Dynasty king. Yeah, this person is just too good-looking. Such an otherworldly person. Is he an immortal? The silver-haired lady beside him is also a stunning beauty. In my opinion, even Princess Linglong can't compare to her. The crowd's voices rose one after another. Fang Tian was also approaching Chu Kuangren step by step. A mysterious Taoist rhyme gradually flowed from his body, like the endless flow of the five elements. Li Xingqian, who was beside Chu Kuangren, said, Brother Chu, this person is the Taoist of the Five Ways sect, Fang Tian. He once publicly announced that if he sees you, he will show you the power of the Five Ways Tao. Not only that, I heard that after he was defeated by Gu Chang'e, he broke through to the Paradise Realm. Be careful, I'll leave first. Li Xingqian said and took a few steps back. He looked like he was cheering him on from behind. Chu Kuangren's face darkened. You're such a good friend. Master, let me deal with him, Lan Yu said. Chu Kuangren was relieved. His Lan Yu was indeed reliable. What? The great elder senior brother of the Black Heaven sect is going to hide behind a woman. Fang Tian sneered as he stood in front of Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren glanced at him with an emotionless gaze. If you can't even defeat Lan Yu, why would I need to do it? Lan Yu raised her chin slightly and said indifferently, Not everyone is qualified to challenge my master. Are you qualified? Then her blue and white dress faded away, and with a flash of light, a gorgeous silver-white armor appeared. She spread her wings and revealed her battle stance. The crowd was slightly surprised. The winged human tribe. Humans were not the only ones on Firmament Star. There were other tribes such as the winged human tribe, the Yasha tribe, the Ashura tribe, and so on. Among them, there were even sacred tribes that were on par with sage orthodoxies. A mere servant wants to stop me? What a joke. Fang Tian snorted coldly, and a ball of golden light circulated in the center of his palm. Then an extremely sharp sword qi burst out. Chapter 48. Taoist rhymes filled the air as a sharp golden sword qi rushed towards Lan Yu. That attack had the power of a perfected nascent soul realm cultivator. Lan Yu was an early-stage nascent soul realm cultivator when she was first summoned, but she was now a late-stage nascent soul realm cultivator. With the help of her supreme Taoist physique, even a paradise realm cultivator would not be able to gain the upper hand. She shattered the sword qi with a single punch. Fang Tian was surprised, but his eyes were filled with battle intent as he said coldly, All right, looks like I've underestimated you. I'll defeat you first, then your master. You won't get the chance. Lan Yu summoned her scepter of light without hesitation. With the sacred weapon's help, her aura skyrocketed once again. With a single punch, The majestic light poise exploded. Even a sky pride like Feng Tian was blasted back a few feet. Many cultivators around were shocked. This lady is so powerful that she can suppress Feng Tian? Feng Tian is a Paradise Realm cultivator. Even the royal Azure Dynasty Crown Prince Gu Chang'e might not be able to suppress him, but this lady can do it. Who is she? Since when did the winged human tribe have such a sky pride? She's even willing to be Chu Kuangren's follower. This is unbelievable. Everyone was shocked by Lan Yu's strength, but they were even more curious about Chu Kuangren. If a follower could be so powerful, what about Chu Kuangren himself? 5 elements, fire elemental technique. Feng Tian formed a mysterious hand sign as Taoist rhymes circulated around his body. Crimson-red flames surged out. Lan Yu did not dodge. Instead, she threw a punch, and the light poise shattered the flames. Her Valkyrie appearance shocked everyone. 5 elements, Yuwood art. Feng Tian's expression became more serious as his Taoist rhymes became denser. The spiritual power within his body circulated as he unleashed his full power. Around Lan Yu, countless vines formed from spiritual energy suddenly appeared and wrapped around her in an instant. 5 elements, H-Gold art. Feng Tian took this opportunity to use the 5 elements ultimate technique again, and several sharp sword chi slashed out. Humph. Lan Yu snorted as the spiritual power within her body erupted. She flapped her white wings and countless spiritual chi blades spun, cutting off the vines that were wrapped around her. Then she threw a punch. The light fist shattered all the sword chi. You want to challenge my master with just this? You must be dreaming. Lan Yu sneered. Lan Yu's words enraged Feng Tian. A mere servant girl dares to be so arrogant. I'll show you what the 5 elements are. Taoist rhymes circulated around Feng Tian's body, and an extremely terrifying aura leaked out. His body gradually shone with 5 colors: metal, wood, water, fire, earth. 5 types of light flickered in Feng Tian's palm, forming a vast and boundless power. This power even shook the space. Sage technique, 5 elements capture. Feng Tian clawed out fiercely with his palm, and 5 types of light converged to form a huge colorful hand. This attack was a sage technique. It was extremely terrifying. Even insightful emptiness realm cultivators would be easily defeated. There was a serious look in Lan Yu's eyes. Next, a beam of white light shot up into the sky from her body as she spread her wings. A vast aura of the Great Path emanated from her. Runes of the Great Path flashed back and forth around her, making her look incomparably holy. Seeing this, the crowd could not help but be shocked. They felt a sense of worship towards Lan Yu. The pupils of some experts constricted in disbelief. This is a Taoist physique transformation. Boundless radiance. The legendary Supreme Taoist physique, the Holy Radiant physique. She also has a Supreme Taoist physique. The experts who recognized the Holy Radiant physique were shocked. Such a physique had not appeared for many years. Similar to Chu Kuangren's exquisite 9 orifices sword heart, they were both Supreme Taoist physiques that had the terrifying potential to break through to the Emperor realm. With the help of the Boundless Radiance transformation, Lan Yu activated her scepter of light and formed a long spear in front of her. There were runes circulating on the spear, and a terrifying light-based Taoist rhyme was condensed within it. Boom! The long spear pierced through the air, and a loud explosion reverberated through the void. This attack was extremely powerful. When it collided with the 5-colored palm, the shockwaves from the explosion of the 2 energies crazily slammed into the void, and the surrounding buildings began to shake. Lan Yu stood on the spot, surrounded by the flowing light, looking extremely holy. Opposite her, Feng Tian's expression was gloomy. He did not expect his strongest attack to not be able to defeat Lan Yu. How could he fight Chu Kuangren if he could not even defeat a servant girl? At that thought, Feng Tian held his breath. Who allowed you to fight in private under the Emperor's jurisdiction? At that moment, a majestic female voice came from the sky. A carriage pulled by 6 divine chariots soared through the sky, and a terrifying aura descended. The surrounding cultivators quickly knelt down. Greetings, Princess Linglong. Only Taoists from sage orthodoxies like Chu Kuangren and Feng Tian were allowed to stand. Their status was equal to Princess Linglong's. Princess Linglong has appeared. I didn't expect to see her so soon. I wonder if she's as beautiful as the rumors say. The Sky Prides exchanged glances. Feng Tian and Lan Yu also stopped fighting. Everyone here is an outstanding talent of this generation. How can you fight in public? Princess Linglong questioned again. You're right, Princess. Lin Batian, Huayan, and the others replied. This was the Royal Azure Dynasty's territory, and the person in front of them was the princess who was going to fight for her hand in marriage. All right, since everyone here is new and doesn't know the rules of the capital city, I'll let this matter rest. Tonight, I'll host a banquet at the Thousand Island Lake and invite all the Sky Prides here. I hope everyone will do me the honor, Princess Linglong said. We'll definitely attend the princess's invitation. The few Sky Prides laughed. Elder senior brother of the Black Heaven sect, I'll be waiting for you at the Thousand Island Lake. At that moment, Princess Linglong said again. Chu Kuangren was stunned. Why did she mention me? Are we close? As soon as Princess Linglong finished speaking, everyone's gaze turned to Chu Kuangren. They were filled with jealousy and hatred. Especially Feng Tian. He looked like he was going to eat someone alive. There are so many Sky Prides here, but Princess Linglong only mentioned Chu Kuangren. What does that mean? It means that Chu Kuangren is special in Princess Linglong's heart. Unknowingly, Chu Kuangren had taken the lead in this marriage contest. Some people were stunned. Princess, you can't hurt us like that. You're messing with our mentality. Princess, he's Chu Kuangren. He's the one who injured the Royal Azure Dynasty's crown prince. Someone beside her reminded. Yes, I know. Princess Linglong said calmly. Didn't you say that you'll show no mercy to him if you see him? Someone remembered what the other Sky Prides had said. Princess Linglong was among them. I remember, but I didn't expect elder senior brother Black Heaven to be so handsome. Princess Linglong paused for a moment, looking a little shy. The crowd was devastated again. I didn't expect you to be like this, Princess Linglong. F***CK, so what if you're good looking? The crowd looked at Chu Kuangren, some of them gritting their teeth in anger. The marriage contest had not started yet, but everyone felt like they had already lost. Chapter 49. Princess Linglong left, leaving behind a group of devastated Sky Prides. Feng Tian stared at Chu Kuangren and said, I'll defeat you in the martial arts competition to prove to the princess that I'm stronger than you. Me too, Lin Batian said coldly. Some of the Sky Prides threatened him. Some of the Sky Prides gave Chu Kuangren a meaningful look. When most of the people had left, Li Xingchen walked up and looked at Chu Kuangren in admiration. Brother Chu, you really are amazing. Even Princess Linglong can't resist your charm. Chu Kuangren stood there and rubbed his chin. Brotherly, I seriously suspect that Princess Linglong is trying to trick me. How can that be? If I were a girl, I would definitely like you too, Li Xingchen said. Forget it, let's find a place to stay first. The three of them found a luxurious inn to stay in. When night fell, Li Xingchen dragged Chu Kuangren to the Thousand Island Lake for the banquet. The Thousand Island Lake, as the name suggested, was a lake with many islands. It was extremely vast, hence the name. The scenery of the lake was beautiful, and the place where Princess Linglong held the banquet was the centermost island of the lake. Inside a palace, many Sky Prides gathered, including some from sage orthodoxies such as Feng Tian and Lin Batian. When Chu Kuangren brought Lan Yu and Li Xingchen in, everyone's gaze was on them. Some were curious, some were hostile. Chu Kuangren had long gotten used to the feeling of being the center of attention. He calmly found a place to sit. Let them look. It's not like I'll lose anything anyway. Besides, I'm so handsome, it's a waste not to show them. The princess has arrived. At that moment, a voice came from outside. A woman in a gorgeous robe slowly walked in. The woman's eyebrows were like distant mountains, and her lips were like red pills. She was dressed in a gorgeous robe, and her figure was graceful. She had a noble temperament, and her face was incomparably beautiful. It was a kind of beauty that was superior, just like a queen. Everyone subconsciously looked at Lan Yu, who was beside Chu Kuangren. These two women were the most beautiful in the world. One was cold, sacred, and inviolable. The other was incomparably beautiful and unapproachable. If Lan Yu was the snow lotus that grew on the precipice, then Princess Linglong would be the delicate and wealthy peony. Each had their own merits. Greetings, Princess Linglong. Princess Linglong is indeed as beautiful as the rumors say. Being able to see the princess today makes this trip worthwhile. The prodigies stood up to welcome him. Chu Kuangren, on the other hand, sat calmly on the spot. He glanced at Princess Linglong, then at Lan Yu. My Lan Yu is still the prettiest. Upon hearing Chu Kuangren's words, Lan Yu was overjoyed. An irrepressible smile appeared on her face, making her look even more charming. Oh, is her name Lan Yu? Princess Linglong seemed to have heard Chu Kuangren's words. Lan Yu greets the princess. Lan Yu cupped his hands in greeting. You're welcome. Princess Linglong then looked at Chu Kuangren with a bright smile on her face. I'm very happy that Brother Chu is here. The prodigies gritted their teeth in anger. Damn, it's like this again. The princess only had eyes for Chu Kuangren. You're too kind, princess. The more Chu Kuangren thought about it, the more he felt that Princess Linglong was trying to set him up. What kind of princess would be so unreserved? The banquet began. The group of prodigies was sizing each other up. They all knew that everyone present was their opponent. Of course, they had to take this opportunity to observe them. Especially Chu Kuangren, who was the most scrutinized. Rumor has it that Brother Chu once used the primordial purple haze to kill Honorable Swordsman White Cloud and destroy the entire White Cloud City Hall. Your skills are truly admirable, one of the prodigies said. As soon as he said that, everyone looked at him strangely. At first glance, it sounded like he was praising Chu Kuangren. However, that was not the case. The emphasis on the word used was to imply that Chu Kuangren did not rely on his own cultivation base to kill an honorable supreme. Instead, he relied on external items, so it did not count. Destroying the entire White Cloud City Hall was a subtle insult to Chu Kuangren for being ruthless and merciless. He did not even spare the elderly, the young, the women, and the children. You sure know how to talk, huh? Chu Kuangren chuckled. Then he looked at the prodigy. He knew who he was. It was Huayan of the Sacred Lands of Serene Wisdom, who battled the Jiang Valley Sky Pride on the street today. When I killed Honorable Swordsman White Cloud, it took me 2 strikes. How many strikes do you think it will take for me to kill you? Chu Kuangren said coldly. As soon as he said that, the atmosphere suddenly became tense. Huayan's expression changed. Brother Chu, what do you mean? I have no grudge against you. Why are you threatening me in public? Can't answer? Why don't you try? Chu Kuangren smiled and slowly stood up. This action of his caused the hearts of everyone present to tremble. F***ck me. Was he really planning to kill someone at the princess banquet? Huayan's pupils shrunk and his heart was pounding. Being stared at by Chu Kuangren, he felt like a poisonous snake was coiling around his neck. Haha, the famous Chu Kuangren is indeed impressive. At that moment, a loud laugh came from outside the palace. A man dressed in a yellow robe walked in. Third brother. Princess Linglong greeted him when she saw him. Greetings, royal sister. The man was the royal Azure dynasty's third prince. His name was Gu Changfeng. Gu Changfeng looked at Chu Kuangren and said, I've long heard of Brother Chu's powerful cultivation base. I wonder if I have the honor of learning from you. Your Highness, would you like to try? All right. Chu Kuangren nodded and agreed. When they arrived at the empty space outside the palace, Gu Changfeng got into a stance and his Taoist rhymes circulated. He said, My royal brother was defeated by you. As his younger brother, I have to do something. Take this. As soon as he said that, a golden-colored dragon chi soared into the air, and the roar of a dragon echoed in the air. A punch was unleashed. It was the sage technique, Dragon Slaughter Fist. Chu Kuangren's face was emotionless as he slashed out with the Descendant Self sword in his hand. The purple sword ray instantly lit up the night sky. That sword ray was even more dazzling than the starry sky. As the sword ray flashed past, the dragon-shaped fist chi instantly dissipated. However, the horrifying sword ray did not stop at all as it headed straight towards Gu Changfeng. How is this possible? Gu Changfeng's pupils shrank and his expression changed. Seeing that the sword ray was getting closer and closer, Gu Changfeng was powerless to defend himself. He could not even dodge it. Fear was written all over his face. At that moment, a figure appeared in front of him. With a palm attack, a terrifying surge of spiritual power collided with the sword ray. A violent shockwave swept in all directions, causing the entire island to shake and the lake to tumble. It's Princess Linglong. I can't believe the princess has such a powerful cultivation base. Everyone was extremely shocked. Not only were they shocked by Chu Kuangren's sword attack, but they were also shocked by Princess Linglong's cultivation base. They were momentarily stunned. I can't believe he's so strong. Fang Tian, who had planned to challenge Chu Kuangren today, turned pale when he saw Chu Kuangren's sword attack. His Taoist core was shaken. He knew that he would not be able to withstand that attack. Not only him, but Huayan was also so scared that his legs were trembling. He could not believe that he had just challenged such a terrifying character. He now suspected that if Gu Changfeng had come a little later, he would have died here. You're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.